Chapter 146. When Insu arrived at the hospital, the doctor examined him carefully and gave him good medicine, but he still shook his head. It's too difficult for him to fully recover from the fall and delay the best treatment time. It's not impossible for him to recover, but the doctor looked at their clothes and sighed. First, he has to stay in the hospital for 2 years for observation. Then, he has to rest in bed for 2 months. He has to take good medicine and come for a weekly follow-up. After that, he has to do rehabilitation exercises to slowly recover the function of his leg. He has to be careful throughout the whole process. He can't work or make any mistakes, or he will become a cripple. And this process costs a lot of money. Yang Yuelon heard this and tears fell. Insu comforted her. Mom, Skinny Monkey and I have some money. It's enough. Let's take care of him. There's hope for him to become a doctor. Isn't it better than being completely crippled? Yang Yuelon nodded and wiped her tears. Yes. Well, I'll go through the hospitalization procedures and tell Chiowin that I'll come back with food. Insu smiled and said, I have Skinny Monkey with me. Mom, don't worry. Walk slowly. Okay, I know. Yang Yuelon was in a bad mood. She went through the procedures with a forced smile and went to Chiowin's school. The doctor's words were almost equivalent to Insu being a cripple, because they couldn't take care of him as well as his aunt. She was not in good health, and had been holding on for the past few days. She obviously felt that she couldn't hold on anymore. She was afraid that if she collapsed, what would Insu do? If the marriage had been arranged a few months earlier, her daughter-in-law would have been able to help out. This kindness was too great. Naturally, their family would treat their daughter-in-law even better in the future. After Insu passed this period and his legs grew back, the two of them would also be able to live a good life. But the marriage was in a mess now. One of the Chu sisters was suspected of arson, and the other was lying in a coma in the hospital. She felt uneasy. She felt that she had caused this because she wanted to marry into the family. Especially Chu Xiang. Wouldn't it be over if she really became a vegetable? She felt that she had harmed Chu Xiang. The more Yang Yuelon thought about it, the more upset she felt. When she saw Chiowin, she had to pretend that nothing was wrong and tell her that Insu's leg could still be treated. Chiowin was pleasantly surprised to hear that. She hurriedly packed her things and smiled. Mom, let's go home together. I'll take care of you and my brother. I've already made up with my teacher. I won't come to school often before the college entrance exam. Yang Yuelon said in shock. You what? That won't do. You'll only be able to fly out of this mountain when you're admitted to university. How can I delay your studies? I'll take care of your brother at home. Skinny Monkey will always come to help. You should focus on your college entrance examination first. Don't worry about other things. Chiowin packed up her things and took her to the hospital with a smile. Mom, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. Nowadays, the school doesn't teach new knowledge anymore. It's just revision. I come to the teacher every few days to copy the revision questions. I can go back and revise by myself. If I have any questions, I can ask the teacher. You're not in good health, and my brother needs someone to take care of him. Why should I stay in the county? That way, I won't feel at ease and won't be able to learn. I definitely won't be able to pass the exam. Bah. Don't be ridiculous. Yang Yuelon had never been able to do anything with her children. Each of them was more stubborn than the other. However, her daughter had no choice but to agree. When the two of them were eating, Yang Yuelon brought up Chu Xiang's matter and sighed. Let's go and see Chu Xiang. I don't feel well in my heart. If I don't take a look, I won't go. It'll be great if she wakes up. Yes, Chu Xiang's studies are much better than mine. If she took the college entrance exam, she would definitely pass. Why did something happen at this time? That Chulon is also hiding her strength. It's too scary. I didn't see it before. Fortunately, she didn't marry my brother. Chiowin's face was full of fear. She helped Yang Yuelon carry the food and the mother and daughter went to Chu Xiang's ward together. Chu Xiang caused this scene to consume the Chu family's wealth and make the Chu family believe that she was a jinx. Now that her goal was achieved, she naturally woke up. However, the brigade hadn't called yet, and the hospital hadn't sent the news to the Chu family. Because of this, many people looked down on the Chu family. They felt that they didn't want to treat Chu Xiang after seeing her in a vegetative state. They actually left her in the hospital. How inhumane. Therefore, when Yang Yuelan and Yin Qiuwen arrived at the ward, they saw Chu Xiang leaning against the bed and reading a newspaper. The two of them were stunned and stopped in their tracks at the same time. This was completely different from what they had expected. The two of them couldn't react at all. Chu Xiang raised her head and asked in surprise, "Yin Qiuwen, Aunt Yin? You. What's the matter?" Yin Qiuwen reacted first. She looked at the food in her hand and smiled. "Oh, isn't this? My brother came to the hospital today to have his leg checked. We heard that you were hospitalized here, so we came to take a look. So Chu Xiang, you haven't eaten yet, right? Come have some food." "Oh, right. Chu Xiang, you. Oh, right. Doctor, can you eat anything now? Can you eat porridge? There's a bowl of porridge here." Yang Yuelan passed the porridge over. Now that Chu Xiang had woken up, the huge rock in her heart had been lifted. She smiled especially kindly. Chu Xiang thought about how penniless and neglected she was. She put down the newspaper and took the bowl of porridge with both hands. "Thank you, Aunt Yin. The porridge is just right. Has the doctor checked on Yin Su? How's his leg?" Yang Yuelan sighed. "The doctor can treat him, but he needs to rest well. He needs to stay in the hospital for 2 days. You'll be fine now that you're awake, right?" "The doctor is fine. Sai, you've caused a ruckus. Now the news has spread in the brigade that the brigade leader has locked Chu Lan up to investigate the cause of the fire. However, there's no evidence. It's not good to know whether Chu Lan set the fire or not. In the end, the case may be left unsettled. Actually, your grandmother and I aren't engaged. Isn't this a discussion? In the end, it ended up like this. I'm really sorry." The host was focused on studying and didn't interact much with the villagers. Yang Yuelan was weak and didn't like to talk. She didn't have much of a presence. The host naturally didn't understand Yang Yuelan's character. Chu Xiang had seen the Chu family's character. When she saw Yang Yuelan coming to ask for money, she thought that Yang Yuelan was also a little ignorant. He didn't expect her to be so sensitive and meticulous. Her personality was also very good and kind. Chu Xiang smiled. "Aunt Yin, how can this have anything to do with you? You're thinking too much. Actually, my mother wanted to marry me off to a widower with a child in exchange for some betrothal money, because my face was ruined. My grandmother felt that I can't get any money like this, so they discussed using me to repay Yin Su for saving my grandfather's life. Actually, they just don't want to be ungrateful and don't want to pay for your medical expenses. Of course, they don't want to raise me. Even if the two families didn't look at each other, they would think of a way to sell me for a good price. At that time, I might marry someone who's willing to pay. Anything is possible." Yin Qiuwen couldn't take it anymore. "They're too disgusting." Then she reacted and felt embarrassed. "Chu Xiang, I'm sorry. I'm not scolding your family." Chu Xiang waved her hand. "It's fine. Aunt Yin, I think you should hurry up and get your medical expenses. Since Yin Su is hospitalized, you can go to the brigade leader and complain that you're poor. Ask the brigade leader for help. After this time, the Chu family probably won't have any money to give you. Don't be embarrassed. Think about how long Yin Su can't work. How many things will be delayed. This is the Chu family's fault. Even if I'm a member of the Chu family, I don't want you to suffer. Thank you, Yin Su, for saving my grandfather." Yang Yuelan was stunned. She held her hand and said emotionally, "You're such a good child. Thank you." Yin Qiuwen also comforted her. "Actually, your face looks a lot gloomier. It doesn't look bad. Don't worry about it. You're so good at your studies. When you recover and take the college entrance exam, you'll have a different life." Chu Xiang smiled and nodded at them. "Okay, I know. Thank you for coming to see me." Yang Yuelan and Yin Qiuwen were still holding their food. They were afraid that it would get cold, so they quickly went to Yin Su's ward. The two of them happily told Yin Su the good news that Chu Xiang had woken up. Their joy also included hope. They hoped that Yin Su could recover. Chu Xiang had recovered from being in a vegetative state. Yin Su might be able to recover. Yang Yuelan was still determined to ask the Chu family for money. Yin Qiuwen hesitated and said, "Mom, now that Chu Xiang has woken up, Will their family let her go to college? Will they really marry her off to some remote mountainous area? I heard that some mountainous areas are willing to give betrothal gifts. As long as the bride is a girl, won't she be finished? Actually, I think it would be great if Chu Xiang really became my sister-in-law. In-Su frowned and knocked her head with his finger. What are you talking about? Children should study hard and take the college entrance exam. Don't think about these things. Yang Yuelon listened to his words. Why don't I ask Chu Xiang? Our family isn't poor. We're much better off than a widower with a child or a man who buys a wife from the mountains, right? Besides, we'll definitely treat her well. After 3 to 5 months, In-Su's leg will recover. She won't need to do anything at home. If she wants to take the college entrance exam, she can take it. Isn't that good? Even Skinny Monkey nodded. Suji, I think this is a good idea. You're a man, so don't be shy. Let's go. I'll help you meet her. We'll know if it's a good idea or not. Okay, you guys can go back to the brigade to rest. I'll take a nap after eating. Skinny Monkey, come over tonight to keep me company. Chiowen, take good care of Mom. Don't wear a jacket anymore. In-Su lay down and covered himself with the quilt. He closed his eyes and looked like he was going to sleep. The three of them called out to him twice, but he didn't respond. They had to give up and go back to the brigade first. After they left, In-Su opened his eyes. He sat up and shook his head. He tried to get up and move a little with the help of his crutches. Being taken care of like a disabled person made him feel like his whole body was rusty. He opened the window to breathe in the fresh air. He turned around and saw Chu Xiang sitting under a tree in the yard. She was looking at the people coming and going. He didn't know what she was thinking. Chu Xiang had a calm and mysterious temperament. She didn't look like an 18-year-old mountain village girl at all. Was this what a good girl was like? In-Su didn't think too much about it. He just thought about the many things that had happened recently. He also thought about the situation where his mother and sister might go to find Chu Xiang. He clenched his crutches and walked out slowly. He felt that he needed to greet Chu Xiang first. It might be a little rude to a family member. Chu Xiang saw him as soon as he walked out of the door. He had a strong aura and didn't fit in with the people around him. He looked like a soldier. Chu Xiang remembered that he used to be a soldier. She smiled at him. In-Su, you can get out of bed now? Yes, do you have time to talk? Of course, Ing. Chapter 147. In-Su was not familiar with Chu Xiang. He didn't know what to say after sitting next to her. Chu Xiang looked at him confusedly. In-Su cleared his throat and said in a low voice, I'm sorry. It's probably caused by the dispute between me and the Chu family. I'll deal with it as soon as possible. My mother and sister have been in a panic because of my leg injury. If they did anything inappropriate to you, I apologize on their behalf. Chu Xiang shook her head. No, they just care about me. What do you think they did? Oh, that's good. In-Su didn't think so much before he came here. Now he was a little confused. What was he thinking? He couldn't say that his mother and sister liked Chu Xiang, could he? It sounded like he was playing a rogue. In this era, men and women didn't get along so naturally. The breeze blew Chu Xiang's hair, and it touched In-Su's shoulder. In-Su suddenly felt like he was sitting on pins and needles. His hands on his knees subconsciously clenched into fists. Chu Xiang glanced at his nervousness and almost laughed out loud. She quickly turned her head and held it back. Then she calmly talked about the Chu family's plan. She observed In-Su and suggested tentatively, why don't you let Mrs. In and Chiowen get the medical expenses first? It's a waste not to take it. Some money can make Mrs. In and Chiowen feel a little better. What do you think? In-Su looked at her thoughtfully. You don't seem to care about the Chu family. You even want to set them up. Chu Xiang didn't hide and laughed. What's wrong? If you were me, what would you do? In-Su said bluntly, let them pay the price. Chu Xiang smiled with satisfaction. You have a good idea. Are you interested in cooperating with me? Cooperating with what? In-Su was confused. He didn't understand how a rough man like him could cooperate with this good student. Chu Xiang narrowed her eyes and looked into the distance. She said, I'll help your family get through this difficult period. You help me transfer my household registration to your family. You'll shed all pretense of cordiality with the Chu family. You'll help me cut off all contact with the Chu family. This kind of thinking was simply outrageous in this era. In-soo looked at her speechlessly and seriously considered the possibility of their cooperation. What surprised him was not only that Chu Seong wanted to cut ties with her family, but also that Chu Seong wanted to use marriage to get out of the fire pit. Marriage was a matter of a lifetime. It seemed that Chu Seong did not want to wait any longer. She really wanted to cut off all ties with the Chu family. Chu Seong added, "We can write an agreement. After a few years, you'll regain your freedom. Nothing will be delayed." "You've thought of everything." In-soo was no longer nervous. He quickly went through everything in his mind and agreed. "Okay, we'll do as you say. What's your plan?" "I'm guessing you don't just want to move your household registration." Chu Seong laughed. "Of course it won't be that simple. Before I cut ties with the Chu family, I must make them pay the price. I hope you can cooperate with me. It would be even better if you could ask your friends to help." Chu Seong told him her plan. In-soo nodded and agreed. Then he returned to the ward. In-soo looked at Chu Seong through the window of the ward. He could not help but laugh and shake his head. Were all girls nowadays so powerful? He could not afford to provoke Chu Seong in the future. Otherwise, he would not even know how he died. In the evening, In Cheowon came to deliver dinner to In-soo. Skinny Monkey came to keep watch. In-soo said to In Cheowon, "I met Chu Seong today. We're going to get married. But this is a secret now. You can't even tell Mom, okay?" In Cheowon widened her eyes in shock. She reached out to touch In-soo's forehead. "Brother, are you having a fever? You actually took the initiative to find Chu Seong and marry her? She didn't hit you? No, wait. Did she agree?" In Cheowon looked at Skinny Monkey. "Did I hear wrongly? Is Sister Chu Seong really going to be my sister-in-law?" Skinny Monkey nodded repeatedly. It's true. I heard it clearly. Brother Sue, you're really good at pretending. You even told us not to be blind in the afternoon. You spent the whole afternoon looking after her. You're really good at hiding things." In-soo glanced at him and said in a deep voice, "Keep your mouth shut. I have something for the two of you to do now. Your future sister-in-law is being bullied by the Chu family. Shouldn't you do something?" "Of course. Brother Sue, how are you going to deal with those bastards?" Skinny Monkey rolled up his sleeves. He looked like he was going to do something big. In Cheowon frowned and nodded. "Brother, of course I have to protect my own family. You don't need me to do anything." In-soo told them what to do in a low voice and reminded them to do it well. The two of them immediately promised that In-soo didn't need anyone to accompany him to bed. After they confirmed that In-soo was fine, they rushed back to the village. This kind of thing was too exciting. And it was for their sister-in-law. Just thinking about it made them excited. In Cheowon didn't tell them that her brother was going to marry Chu Seong. Yang Yuelan's heart ached when she heard that In-soo's leg was injured. She hated the Chu family to the core. In Cheowon talked about the medical fees, her worries about her brother's health, and Chu Seong's words in the ward. In the end, she successfully persuaded Yang Yuelan to go with her to ask for the medical fees. They didn't go to the Chu family and went straight to the brigade leader. Yang Yuelan wiped her tears. "Brigade leader, In-soo is in the hospital now. There's no one at home who can work. What should we do? There's a doctor, so he has to rest to have a chance to recover. Otherwise he'll become a cripple. But our family doesn't have any money. How are we going to survive?" In Cheowon supported her and said angrily, "Mom, you're too easy to bully. My brother saved Sean. He's a hero, right? Has the Chu family ever cared about him? Oh right. There was one time when they took 6 eggs. Brigade leader, is what the Chu family did, right? Do you know what my mother and his family are like? They actually wanted to send Sister Chu Seong to our family as a maid to repay our kindness. What kind of people are they? I really admire Sister Chu Seong. She's the most likely person to get into university. What right do they have to torture her like this? Look at what they've done to Sister Chu Seong." The brigade leader hurriedly waved his hand. "Don't say that. There's no evidence to prove that anyone harmed Chu Seong. Sigh, but this matter is indeed the Chu family's fault. How about this? I'll be your mediator and mediate. The brigade leader called a few people to call the elders of the Chu family over. When they saw that the Yin family's mother and daughter were also there, their expressions became unnatural. Especially Grandpa Chu, he felt embarrassed and panicked. Especially Yin Xiuwen's gaze. It was as if she was looking at an ungrateful wretch. The dignity that he had protected his entire life was gone. The brigade leader didn't beat around the bush and went straight to the point. He told the Yin family's difficulties and asked the Chu family to pay for the medical expenses. After all, Insu had saved Grandpa Chu's life. He had saved Grandpa Chu's life, but in the end he was going to become a cripple. The Chu family had to pay for it no matter what. Skinny Monkey stared at the commotion. When he saw that they had gathered together, he hurriedly asked a few of his close buddies to call the villagers over to watch the commotion. Actually, he wanted to embarrass the Chu family in front of everyone. Didn't they want to save face? Didn't they want to cover up their shame? Today they would tear it all down. Yin Xiuwen and Skinny Monkey, who was at the outermost part of the crowd, looked at each other and quickly repeated what the brigade leader had said. Everyone was in an uproar. They're really going to let Chu Xiang marry into the family? Or let Chu Xiang become a slave? Is she their biological daughter? The point is that the Yin family and the Chu family aren't engaged. How can the Chu family be so shameless? Skinny Monkey shouted, "That's right. Insu doesn't like Chulan at all. How can there be such a thing as a substitute? The Chu family is shameless and shameless." There were a lot of people. After Skinny Monkey finished shouting, he moved to another place. Everyone didn't know who shouted and didn't care who shouted. They directly followed the words and talked about it. Skinny Monkey shouted again, "Chulan has a girlfriend. She secretly met with Songyang at the back of the hill and gave Songyang eggs, meat, and white rice." This time, the crowd's discussion became louder. Even the Chu family was shocked. Chulan's mother anxiously said, "Who? Who's who Pow? Stand out." The educated youths were also watching the commotion. When they heard this, they all looked at Songyang. Songyang's face turned red. He was anxious and embarrassed. Just as he was about to explain, a male educated youth who didn't get along with him said in a strange tone, "I knew that Songyang smelled like meat. He must have eaten it secretly. You don't believe me? Look, it's his girlfriend who gave it to him." Songyang hurriedly waved his hand and explained, "No, I don't have a girlfriend. I have nothing to do with Chulan." "Then, where did you go every afternoon?" "Yes, your shoes always have a lot of soil and grass. You went to the back of the hill, right? You go out on time every afternoon. The more I think about it, the more I think that you met with Chulan." Several male educated youths who lived in the same room with Songyang asked doubts. Songyang couldn't explain. In a hurry, he could only tell the truth. "I just explained the questions to Comrade Chulan. I explained the questions to..." "Enough! What does your business have to do with us?" Yin Xiuwen interrupted him in time, and didn't let him say Chu Xiang's name. She said loudly, "Captain, after this incident, we have seen clearly the face of the Chu family. In the future, we don't want to have anything to do with them. I hope that you and the Chu family will not write crooked things to harm people. They have harmed many people. I still hope that they can pay for the medical expenses. After all, my brother's injuries are more important. This is my only request." Grandma Chu said anxiously, "Yulan, look, it's a misunderstanding. Let's talk nicely." Skinny Monkey shouted, "The Chu family is bullying people. Shameless." A few people who were familiar with him echoed. Everyone immediately shouted, "The Chu family is shameless. They don't want to pay the medical expenses. Bullying people. Shameless." Grandpa Chu's face was livid. He glared at Grandma Chu and said, "We will pay. I wanted to pay from the beginning. It's all because this old woman likes Insu and insisted on marrying him. I didn't expect that there would be so many misunderstandings. Here, go back and get the money now." Chulan's parents didn't dare to speak. They were afraid that the topic would turn to Chulan and Songyang. Chu Xiang's parents didn't dare to speak, because Chu Xiang owed someone 400 yuan. Only Grandma Chu was unwilling to give up. She wanted to say something, but Yin Xiuwen beat her to it and said, "My brother's injury is very serious. He has to be checked every week. He has to take good medicine to recover. The medical expenses are 300 yuan. This is too little. What? 300? Skinny Monkey gave his brother a look. That person shouted. 300 yuan is too little. At least 500 yuan. Yes, how can 300 yuan treat a leg? That's money that saved a life. No, this is the money to repay a debt of gratitude. It's the money of conscience. How much you give depends on the Chu family's conscience. Grandpa Chu wanted to find a hole to hide in. He dragged Grandma Chu out. Here, go home and get it. Chapter 148. The Chu family only had about 500 yuan in savings and owed 400 yuan in debt. Now it was not enough to pay the Yin family 300 yuan medical fees. Grandma Chu cried as soon as she got home. Grandpa Chu pushed her hard. Shut up. Don't you think it's embarrassing enough? I asked you to marry Chulan to the Yin family from the beginning, but you delayed. Now they are pointing at me and scolding me. It's all because of you. Hurry up and give me the money. Grandma Chu took the hit and didn't dare to make a sound. Her heart was bleeding as she took out 300 yuan from the cabinet. She counted it over and over again and asked Chulan's father to send the money over. Chulan's father was an honest man. No one scolded him. Now they could only come back safely if he sent them back. The rest of the Chu family hid in the house and were too ashamed to see anyone. Chulan's mother secretly sent food to Chulan and told her about it. Chulan was annoyed. If she had known that it would cause so much trouble, she would have urged her family to pay the Yin family's medical fees from the beginning. Now, even if there was no evidence and she was not locked up, she would always be a suspect in the eyes of the villagers. Chulan thought about it and felt that it was all Chu Xiang's bad luck. She believed that Chu Xiang was unlucky and often complained to her mother. She wished that Chu Xiang would faint and never wake up so that she would not be a burden to her in the future. Yin Qiuwen and Yang Yuelan got the 300 yuan and secretly sent a pork to the captain's wife. They went home with relief. Yang Yuelan felt that she had solved a big problem. From now on, this matter was over, and she would never think about it again. Yin Qiuwen felt that she had completed the task her brother gave her. She tore off a piece of flesh from the Chu family and helped her future sister-in-law vent her anger. This matter was not over yet. Although everyone dispersed, it was still lively. They gathered in twos and threes to discuss it. Skinny Monkey and his brothers secretly provided them with a lot of information. For example, Chu Xiang was a jinx and Chulan was the reincarnation of a lucky star. The Chu family couldn't wait for Chu Xiang to die. They also wanted Chulan to marry Chu Xian to the provincial capital, and so on. Rumors spread quickly in the village, and they were getting more and more exaggerated. In the end, the two daughters of the Chu clan were the reincarnation of a lucky star and a jinx. Of course, no one dared to use the word reincarnation. The impact of the fight against superstitions was still there, so no one dared to discuss it openly. But the more mysterious it was, the more it could arouse everyone's curiosity and desire to pay attention to it. When the Chu family heard these rumors, everyone thought that the Chu family would be cursed to death by Chu Xiang. Chulan might not be the only one who could survive. It was useless for Grandma Chu to find someone to explain. At this time, who would want to have anything to do with the Chu family? They were all far away from them. Grandma Chu was so angry that she went home and slapped Chulan's mother hard. She said angrily, "Who else can spread these rumors? Don't you want to save your daughter? You don't even care about the Chu family's reputation, idiot." Grandma Chu vented all the anger she suffered from Grandpa Chu on Chulan's mother. No one in the family helped her. Li Yuezhen also made sarcastic remarks. They also thought that it must be Chulan's mother who spread the rumors. This matter was only beneficial to Chulan. The rumors in the village made the brigade leader angry and nervous. He hurriedly arranged many people to dig ditches and work, and strictly ordered them to keep their mouths shut. The brigade leader was annoyed by the Chu family's mess. His wife always asked him to pay 100 yuan in advance at the hospital. He simply asked his wife to go to the Chu family and warn them that feudal superstitions were not allowed. Be careful of being punished by the higher-ups. Of course, The brigade leader's wife would not spoil the Chu family. The Chu family gave the Yin family 300 yuan, so be it. They couldn't owe the Chu family 100 yuan, right? She went to the Chu family to warn them, and hinted that they should return the money. She was the brigade leader's wife. The Chu family had already lost a lot of face. They didn't want to offend the brigade leader, so they could only endure the pain and return the 100 yuan. Looking at the remaining 100 yuan in the family's savings, Grandma Chu felt dizzy. She kept muttering, "It must be Chu Xiang. It must be her. She wants to ruin the Chu family." At this time, no one in the Chu family stopped her. Anyway, no outsiders heard it. They were so miserable now. No one felt that they had caused the Chu family to become like this. Chu Xiang became the target of public criticism. She became the jinx that they firmly believed. After a night, the news that Chu Xiang had woken up finally spread to the village. No one in the Chu family was happy. Their first reaction was that they would be cursed by her in the future. Li Yuezhan's reaction was the biggest. She pulled Chu Xian to the two elders and cried, "Dad, Mom, what should we do? We can't let Chu Xiang be the jinx of Daxin. You have to think of something." Grandma Chu said angrily, "You still have the face to cry? You gave birth to that jinx. I don't care. You send her to your mother's house. Don't bring her back." Li Yuezhan cried, "My sister-in-law specially came to see me. She asked me not to bring Chu Xiang back to my mother's house in the future. I can't do that." The Chu family regarded Chu Xiang as a scourge. They didn't want her to go home at all. But what could they do? The whole village knew that Chu Xiang had woken up. They couldn't just leave her outside. Grandma Chu had a splitting headache. She lay on the bed and didn't care anymore. She kept telling them not to give the hospital money. The others naturally didn't have any ideas. In the end, Chu Weiguo and Li Yuezhan could only go to the county hospital to bring Chu Xiang back. Chu Xiang had informed the doctor in advance and asked the doctor and them to pay attention to the things that they should pay attention to. She had indeed rolled down the hill and choked on the smoke. Although they didn't find out, it was true that she had been in critical condition twice. Her condition was very serious. The doctor repeatedly told Li Yuezhan to give Chu Xiang more nutritious food. She should go back to bed and rest. She should come back for a checkup a week later. Li Yuezhan's face turned green. She had to rest in bed again. How long had she been resting? They couldn't go to college to earn subsidies, and they couldn't work. They had to eat good food to nourish their body. Were they supposed to serve their ancestors? The key point was that Chu Xiang's house was burned to the point that it couldn't be lived in. Where was Chu Xiang going back to live? Chu Xiang and Chu Lan seemed to have a grudge. They couldn't let the two of them live together. Then, wouldn't they have to let Chu Weiguo sleep with Chu Xian while she slept with Chu Xiang? What was going on? Chu Weiguo's snoring disturbed Chu Xian. Li Yuezhan and Chu Weiguo were gloomy all the way. They had to push the handcart with all their strength. They were so tired that they were sweating. The two of them talked a lot about Chu Xiang, but Chu Xiang just closed her eyes and pretended not to hear them. They couldn't do anything. Last time, Li Yuezhan almost pushed Chu Xiang to death. She was traumatized. How could she do anything to her now? After they entered the village, almost all the villagers who knew about it came, including the educated youths. Someone asked how Chu Xiang was, someone asked if Chu Xiang saw Chu Lan set the fire, and someone asked where Chu Xiang lived. Everyone asked at the same time, but they couldn't hear who was asking what. Chu Xiang just pretended to be at a loss and answered, "I don't know." Chu Xiang's acting had won the International Oko Award. She looked so pitiful. Even if everyone heard that she was a jinx, they couldn't help but sympathize with her. They followed her all the way to the Chu family, as if they were afraid that she would be bullied, and escorted her home. Song Yang was also very worried. He squeezed in the crowd and wanted to talk to Chu Xiang, who knew that he saw the scar on Chu Xiang's face. It was as long as a finger. Song Yang was so shocked that his eyes widened. The educated youths next to him had already covered their eyes and cried out. Only most of the villagers saw Chu Xiang's injury before. The educated youths didn't see it, especially Song Yang. Chu Lan deliberately gave him the impression that Chu Xiang had recovered well, but she was weak and pitiful. During this time, his imagination of Chu Xiang had been very beautiful. Chu Xiang had been beautified by Chu Lan in his mind. Suddenly he saw the hideous scar on Chu Xiang's face. The difference between heaven and earth was too exciting. He couldn't accept this shock at all. Unconsciously, he stepped back a few steps, getting farther and farther away from Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang didn't even look at him. This kind of man only looked good on the surface, but when he encountered something, he was a good-for-nothing. He hadn't experienced many things, so he wasn't so calm. But what did that have to do with her? She didn't like him. Why should she accompany him to grow up? Song Yang returned to the educated youth's place in a daze. Chu Xiang was stopped at the door of the Chu family's house. It was Grandma Chu who stopped her. She was too superstitious. She didn't dare to let Chu Xiang enter the house. She winked at Li Yuezhen and said coldly, "The child's grandmother misses her so much. Hurry up and send her over to let the in-laws feel at ease." Chu Xiang's house was burned and rebuilt. There is no place to live and it is noisy. Let her raise these children at the in-laws' place. Li Yuezhen widened her eyes. "Mom, there is no place there." Chu Xiang sat up with the help of the handcart. She coughed a few times with a pale face and said weakly, "Grandma, Mom, what are you doing? Why don't you let me enter the house? They think you are a jinx." The skinny monkey squatted by the wall and shouted. Then he turned around and ran to the back of the house. Chu Xiang couldn't believe it. She supported herself with the handcart and looked at the expressions of the Chu family. "You are superstitious? A jinx? I have been in the Chu family for 18 years. You think I am a jinx?" The villagers were not afraid of making things worse. They said one after another. Not only did they talk about the jinx, but they also talked about the jinx. Chu Xiang gave them a thumbs up in her heart. Then she said in an even more unbelievable tone, "Just because Chu Lan caught 2 rabbits, she is lucky. I encountered danger twice and I am a jinx? Then what do you mean now? You want to drive me out of the house and separate me? Don't even think about it. I have taken care of Daxin all these years. You are my younger brothers who I can rely on for a lifetime." As soon as the word separate came out, the surrounding people immediately became quiet. Separation was a very sensitive topic. The more people there were, the more labor there would be. If there were not so many conflicts in the village, there would be no separation at all. This was a very embarrassing thing. However, the word separation made the Chu family suddenly enlightened. Grandma Chu didn't say anything. At this time, when she heard that Chu Xiang wanted to rely on her precious grandson, she didn't care about her face anymore. She made a prompt decision and said loudly, "Yes, separation. You are already an adult at 18 years old. What's wrong with that? You set the house on fire and falsely accused Chu Lan. I haven't scolded you yet. I won't let you pay for the house. You can just leave like this. The old house at the end of the village is yours." The captain was called. The skinny monkey came back from the back of the house and sneered. "I have seen shameless people, but I have never seen such a shameless person. This is turning black into white and bullying people. Chu Xiang, let the captain make a decision for you." The captain was also surprised. He went forward to persuade the Chu family to stop making trouble. How could an unmarried girl be separated? Everyone also tried to persuade, but Grandma Chu was determined not to let go. Chu Xiang's body shook, and her face became paler. She looked at them and said, "Okay, I will separate." Chapter 149. The old house at the end of the village was in ruins. It was the Chu family's old house from 30 years ago. There was no door or window, and it was dilapidated. There was nowhere to hide when it rained, and if it snowed heavily, it might even collapse. How could anyone live there? The captain was a little annoyed. He shouted at Grandpa Chu, who didn't show up. "Where's the head of the Chu family? Did he not want Chu Xiang anymore?" Grandma Chu pestered endlessly. "What do you mean he doesn't want her anymore? It's just that there's no place for her to stay at home, so she has to stay in the old house. Captain, look at the mess she's made at home. She's a troublemaker. You're kind. Why don't you make arrangements for her? I can't control her." Chu Xiang lowered her head and clasped her hands together. Her voice was very low, as if she was extremely disappointed. Captain, thank you for speaking up for me. This family can't accommodate me anymore. If I stay, I won't have a good ending. Please let us split up. Give me my household register. Thank you. Grandma Chu was unhappy and said angrily, "What are you talking about? What can't accommodate you? What won't have a good ending? You make it sound like we're harming you. If I didn't treat you well, I would have strangled you when you were born. Would I have let you study so much? Do you have a conscience?" Chu Xiang slowly looked up at her and said slowly, "I only know that I almost died. Until now, no one has given me a solution. I only know that I escaped death, but I can't even enter the house. I only know that I'm hurt and sad, but you guys are discussing using me to exchange for betrothal gifts. It's good that we split up. At least I won't have to live in fear in the future." Everyone was in an uproar when they heard this and pointed at the Chu family. Some of them might have done the same, but when it came to others, they seemed to have sufficient grounds to criticize others. Chu Xiang made good use of their mentality and made the Chu family fall into the whirlpool of public opinion again. They would never be able to get rid of this blame. Li Yuezhen couldn't stand the villagers' criticism. She tugged at Grandma Chu's arm and said, "Mom, let's forget about it. Don't split up." Grandma Chu pushed her away. "Split, we must split." She pointed in the direction of the end of the village. "You can go now. There's no need for anything else. Captain, I'll ask Weigua to help you get a household register." The captain snorted coldly and paced back and forth with his hands behind his back. "Ignorant. How foolish. Since you all want to split it, then let's split it." But Chu Xiang had just been saved. What about it? Are you going to let her go alone? What did she eat and drink? Tell her to pack her things. Give her what she deserves. Rice, food, chicken, duck, pots, bowls, ladles, and basins. If you want to divide them properly. Otherwise, don't divide them. The captain couldn't stand it anymore. Chu Xiang had almost died, and he had been watching from the side. The Chu family was too much of a bully. They wanted Chu Xiang to die in the old house. He also heard that the Chu family firmly believed that Chu Xiang was a jinx. He couldn't help but wonder if the Chu family was trying to force Chu Xiang to her death. After all, when a weak girl encountered such a situation, it was possible for her to jump into the river. He looked at Chu Xiang's thin, pale, and fragile appearance and became tough. No matter what the Chu family said, they would demand that they split according to the rules. They had to meet the minimum standards for splitting the family. Otherwise, they would never agree to it. Splitting the family assets didn't have any meaning in the law, but in this village where most people didn't have any contact with the outside world, it was a very big matter. If the captain didn't agree, they wouldn't split it. Grandma Chu's expression was extremely ugly. She even lay on the ground and cried pitifully. "How much did I spend on Chu Xiang's treatment? More than 500 yuan. It's asking for my life. I even gave the Yin family 300 yuan. How can I still have money? I can't even open the pot. Captain, if you help Chu Xiang, who will help me? I might as well die." When the amount of money was revealed, everyone was shocked again. Chu Xiang actually spent so much money on a trip to the hospital. It was enough for 2 or 3 men to get married. This time, no one tried to persuade her. The way they looked at Chu Xiang was a little strange. She really looked like a jinx. Seeing how the Chu family was in such a miserable state, it seemed that the Chu family was also in a miserable state. The captain looked at Chu Xiang again. Chu Xiang didn't say anything and slowly sat on the side of the handcart. It was as if she couldn't stand after standing for so long. The captain hardened his heart and said coldly, "Stop crying. We have to split the family assets normally. We can't treat Chu Xiang badly. Otherwise, don't even think about splitting the family assets. Let's just break up like this." When Grandma Chu saw that the captain was really going to leave, she was so scared that she didn't dare to cry anymore. She quickly got up and pulled the captain, saying anxiously and angrily, "I'll go get something. I'll go get it, okay?" She was really afraid. Even if she lost money, she didn't dare to let Chu Xiang into the house. How bad was Chu Xiang's jinx? What if she jinxed her to death next time? She wouldn't even have a place to spend the money she saved. Grandma Chu also had her own calculations in her heart. Chu Xiang still needed to rest in bed. She looked like she would fall if the wind blew. Couldn't she just give these things to Chu Xiang first, and find an opportunity to secretly take them back later? At that time, who would support Chu Xiang? Maybe Chu Xiang wouldn't even be able to get up to complain. When Grandma Chu thought of this, she didn't feel too bad about taking the things. In fact, there was no precedent for a girl to split the family assets. Grandma Chu took 20 yuan, the 2 oldest bowls and plates in the house, a wooden basin, Chu Xiang's unburned but blackened bedding, 2 sets of clothes that Chu Xiang didn't burn, and a few books that Chu Xiang didn't burn. She wasn't willing to give anything else. The captain frowned and didn't want to pester her anymore. He forced Grandma Chu to catch a chicken, a rabbit, 2 bowls of rice, 2 bowls of rice, a bag of sweet potatoes, and a field that belonged to Chu Xiang. Only then was he done. The Chu family and Chu Xiang both agreed. The captain immediately wrote 3 copies of the separation document, 1 for the Chu family, 1 for Chu Xiang, and 1 for himself. When he was writing the document, Chu Xiang said, "Captain, can you write in the document that the Chu family kicked me out of the house and doesn't recognize me anymore? I hope to write that the Chu family and I have nothing to do with each other from now on." It was normal for her to have such a reaction when she was treated like this by her close relatives. Everyone present understood. Only the Chu family was furious. Chu Weigua sternly scolded, "You are an ungrateful person. You don't care about the kindness of your elders. Who are you holding a grudge against?" Chu Xiang didn't even look at him. She just waited for the captain's reply. The captain was very dissatisfied with the Chu family's approach. He thought for a while and nodded in agreement. He directly wrote these 2 points in the document. He also wrote that the Chu family didn't need Chu Xiang to support them in the future. The Chu family only wanted to get rid of Chu Xiang as soon as possible. It was better to draw a clear line. In the future, they might not be jinxed. So they all agreed to put their handprints on the document after a few words of scolding. Grandma Chu couldn't wait to urge Chu Weigua to get a household registration. She said to Chu Xiang coldly, "You heartless thing. Get out of here and don't come back." Chu Xiang walked to the door and stopped. She looked back at them and said, "I won't come back." She left the Chu family without looking back. The captain asked people to help her push the things in a handcart. Some people wanted to help, but they were stopped by the elders or their wives. The skinny monkey responded, and the captain asked him and his wife to send the things. When the captain's wife arrived at the old house, her eyebrows didn't loosen. The house was really shabby. She was worried that it would collapse. The skinny monkey didn't expect the house to be so shabby. He thought about how Chu Xiang was his future sister-in-law. If Insu knew that he arranged for his sister-in-law to be like this, he would definitely teach him a lesson. The skinny monkey quickly joked, "This is like a wasteland. Will something happen at night?" "There have been rumors in our brigade recently. If something happens, won't it be bad?" The captain's wife was surprised. "What rumors? What did you hear?" "Just these messy things. Everyone in the county knows. I heard it when I sent Brother Su to the hospital. Sigh, but there's nothing we can do." "What can we do?" The skinny monkey said it as if it was true. However, the rumors in the village would spread sooner or later. The nearby brigades would definitely laugh at them. It was just that they hadn't done so yet. The captain's wife felt vexed no matter how she thought about it. She looked around and saw that there was no one around. Chu Xiang might really be in trouble if she stayed here alone. She simply said, "Fine, Chu Xiang, you can stay at my house first. My daughter just happened to get married and has a spare room." Chu Xiang coughed twice and smiled. "Thank you, Auntie. Then I won't refuse. When I get better, I will find a place to move." She pointed to the things in the car. "I don't have anything now. These things are for you. It's not much. Take it as a token of my appreciation." The captain's wife was still a little annoyed that she was a jinx. However, when she heard that she was so considerate, she felt that she was too pitiful. She sighed and pulled her back. "Auntie doesn't lack these things. You should take good care of your body. When you're better, you can get more." The captain's wife was very worried. Chu Xiang's things were only enough to eat 7 or 8 times. Chu Xiang still needed to rest. What would she do after she brought her home? It was easier to invite the devil than to send it away. No matter what she did, it would be wrong. She couldn't raise Chu Xiang all the time, right? What if Chu Xiang was really unlucky? The more she thought about it, the more upset she became. She couldn't think of a way at all. She could only bite the bullet and bring Chu Xiang home. The captain was a little surprised. However, after hearing the situation of the old house, he nodded and let Chu Xiang live in the wing. The captain's wife was very unhappy. She was especially afraid that Chu Xiang would be unlucky. However, she didn't show anything on the surface. She just found an excuse to take the child back to her mother's house temporarily. After Chu Weigua settled the household registration, he didn't look at Chu Xiang or ask her anything. He hurriedly left as if Chu Xiang was a scourge. The captain's wife had no choice but to give the household registration to Chu Xiang. She said to her, "You are now an independent household. You don't have a house. You only have a piece of land. It's not big. It's just a collective household. How can you live alone? Listen to Auntie's advice. Go back and apologize to your family. Then this matter will be over. You can also find a partner and marry him. You are alone. Your safety is not guaranteed. You will know when you live alone. It's difficult everywhere." Chu Xiang didn't argue with her. She nodded with a grateful expression. "Thank you, Auntie. I will think about it." At the same time, the Chu family was also in her house. Grandma Chu complained that the captain was meddling in other people's business. He even brought Chu Xiang home. Her plan was ruined, and she couldn't get her things back. After all, Li Yuezhen was Chu Xiang's biological mother. She felt a little uncomfortable in her heart. She couldn't help but say, "Chu Xiang was fine before. Maybe she is not a jinx. Isn't she going to be admitted to university?" Grandma Chu snorted and said, "She is going to be admitted to university? How difficult is it to get her back if she is really admitted?" Chapter 150. Grandma Chu's words were very unreasonable, but it was the truth. There was once a girl who was chased out of the village and became the director of a textile factory in the county. That family immediately went to her and cried nonstop. In the end, they really acknowledged the girl and reaped many benefits. That girl wanted to save face. If she didn't acknowledge the girl, everyone would accuse her of being unfilial. In turn, the elders who sympathized with her poor situation might even lose their position as director. This was how it was in this era. With such precedents, Grandma Chu wasn't worried at all. Chu Xiang was a junior. Wouldn't it be up to them to acknowledge her? However, only one day had passed, and her calculations were smashed. Chu Xiang was actually going to marry into the Yin family. This news not only stunned the Chu family, but also the rest of the village. Wasn't Chu Xiang a jinx? Ever since Chu Xiang was sent out, the news of her being a jinx spread to Yulai. Most people believed that she was a jinx and Chu Lan was a lucky star. At this moment, Yin Su was actually going to marry Chu Xiang? The first reaction of the crowd was that the Yin family was crazy. The second reaction was, didn't the Yin family fall out with the Chu family and refuse to marry into the Chu family? Weren't they dissatisfied with the Chu family for letting Chu Xiang marry Rong'an? Why did they go back on their word? The captain's family was also confused. However, at the same time, they were relieved. They felt that the matter in the village was finally going to end. They didn't have to worry about Chu Xiang's future anymore. Yin Su had already returned home from the hospital. He, Yang Yuelan, and Yin Qiuwen had already made it clear that this marriage was a fake one. He told them not to take it seriously. Yang Yuelan was stunned when she heard this. There was a fake marriage? She had never heard of such a thing in her life. Who would do such a thing? Weren't these two people held up? She didn't agree to anything. However, Yin Su pulled her aside and tried to persuade her. For the current Yin family, it was very important to have one more person who sincerely wanted to live together and help each other. They were not lacking a servant girl, but they were lacking a healthy family member who could occasionally share their burden. As for Chu Xianglai, there were too many inconveniences for her to live alone in the village. It was also very dangerous. The villagers would not care about the life or death of a jinx. She might even continue to be bullied by the Chu family. She urgently needed a safe haven. Anyway, now that In-su's leg was broken and Chu Xiang's face was disfigured, it was impossible for them to find a good other half. If they found a good for nothing, they wouldn't be able to live a good life. So, they might as well help each other. After this difficult period, they could separate again in the future and live a better life. Yang Yuelan couldn't argue with In-su, but the more In-cheon listened, the more she felt that what In-su said made sense. She also joined in to help persuade Yang Yuelan. Both her son and daughter felt that this was a good idea. Yang Yuelan gradually relented and finally agreed. Then they went to visit the brigade leader and asked his wife to help them. Outsiders didn't know that there was a fake marriage. Once the brigade leader's wife recovered from her shock, she immediately went into the house to congratulate Chu Xiang. She smiled and said, "You are a lucky child. In-su brought his mother to propose marriage to you. What do you think? Auntie is with you. If you miss this opportunity, you won't get another one. Don't be fooled by In-su's broken leg. Many girls are unwilling to marry him, but I have sharp eyes. In-su is definitely a talent. He used to be a soldier and was even a leader. Moreover, he is not disabled. If he doesn't take good care of himself, he will at most become a cripple. It won't affect anything." Chu Xiang smiled and said, "Auntie, you are helping him so much. Is In-su really that good?" The brigade leader's wife saw that there was hope in her and quickly pulled her to sit down. "Of course he is. Not only is he good, but his family is also good. His mother is soft-hearted and reasonable. She definitely won't act like a mother-in-law. His sister is in the same school as you. You know her, right? She is lively and loves to laugh. She is a very good girl. Where can you find such a good mother-in-law and sister-in-law? This is a good marriage for you. What do you think?" Chu Xiang thought seriously for a while. She lowered her head and asked, "Auntie, can you let me talk to In-su? I want to know more. After all, this is a serious matter." "Of course. I will let him in now. Auntie will talk to Auntie In outside. Call me if you need anything." The brigade leader's wife went out to call In-su into the house. She didn't close the doors or windows. The rest of them chatted in the courtyard. In-su entered the house and sat by the door. He looked at Chu Xiang's pale face and frowned. "Are you not feeling well? I will ask Skinny Monkey and Wen to take you to the hospital." Chu Xiang shook her head and gave him a look. In-su instantly understood that she was pretending. He was speechless. Even he couldn't tell. In-su lowered his head to hide the smile on his face. He coughed softly and said in a low voice, "A long delay may lead to trouble. Let's do the marriage as soon as possible. I will make it clear that I will never have any contact with the Chu family." "Okay." Chu Xiang smiled with satisfaction. "How do you communicate with your family? To be honest, so you don't have to worry about any awkwardness after the marriage. You can sleep in the big house with Wen. My family won't have any relatives or friends, so we won't be exposed. I just hope that you can help my mother when she is having trouble doing something. She is not in good health, and it has gotten worse recently. I am a little worried about her." Chu Xiang raised her eyebrows in surprise. She looked at Yang Yuelan and In-cheon's expressions through the window and found that they were normal. They seemed to be chatting well with the brigade leader's wife. They seemed to be able to accept such a rebellious thing. This family was definitely out of her expectations. Chu Xiang didn't mind In-su's request at all. They were supposed to help each other. She agreed immediately and discussed with In-su what to do. Then In-su went out. After all, it was not good to be alone in the room for too long. The marriage between them was settled. The brigade leader's wife was a little hesitant. After all, Chu Xiang was a member of the Chu family. Was it not good for her to help with the marriage? However, the brigade leader had seen how cold-blooded the Chu family was to Chu Xiang. He asked her to just help with the marriage and ignore the Chu family. News spread quickly in the village. If the Chu family wanted to, they would naturally take the initiative to visit them. If not, why should they care about them? The Chu family would not take the initiative. It was not easy for them to drive the jinx out. They could not wait to draw a clear line with Chu Xiang. How could they get involved with her again? However, even if they did not look for Chu Xiang, it did not mean that they would not look for the In family. Grandma Chu rushed to the In family as soon as she heard the news. Yang Yuelan did not open the door for her, so she stood at the door and shouted, "What is the meaning of your family? What do you mean by you don't want to marry into my family? You don't want to marry Chu Xiang. You forcefully took 300 yuan from my family, and now you want to marry Chu Xiang without giving me a single cent. Why do you take all the good things? Are you shameless?" Yang Yuelan said angrily, "Who is the shameless one? My son's leg is broken. In exchange for your old Chu's life, you think 300 yuan is too much? Then you have to treat my son's leg. Now that the matter between our families is settled, what's wrong with my son marrying Chu Xiang? Does Chu Xiang have anything to do with your family? What does it have to do with her? Tell me, is she your granddaughter? Didn't you refuse to acknowledge her and tell her to never go back? What does the matter between us and Chu Xiang have to do with your Chu family?" Grandma Chu was stunned. The people who gathered around to watch the show were also stunned. It seemed that the Yin family still did not intend to have anything to do with the Chu family. They only acknowledged Chu Xiang and did not acknowledge the Chu family as a family. Grandma Chu was speechless. She braced herself and said, "Chu Xiang's surname is Chu. She is a member of the Chu family no matter where she goes. Then you take out the dowry. Let Chu Xiang go back to the Chu family to recuperate before leaving. I will wait. Do you dare? You are a superstitious social parasite. People like you should have been caught and paraded on the streets a few years ago." Yang Yuelan really hated the Chu family. She usually did not raise her voice with others. Now that she was angry, she stood in the yard and panted. Yin Xiuwen quickly helped her sit down and said, "Mom, why are you quarreling with her? Don't be angry. I'll go." Yang Yuelan pulled her back. "Don't. She is an old lady. She is 2 generations older than you. How can you quarrel with her? Who wants to quarrel? Let's be reasonable." Yin Xiuwen smiled at her playfully and walked over to open the door. She said to everyone happily, "Look at how noisy this matter is. It has alarmed everyone. My brother and sister Xiang are getting married. It's just a matter of a few days. When the time comes, everyone will come to the wedding banquet. Oh, by the way, the Chu family doesn't have to come. The Chu family's character is not good. Our Yin family does not want to have any contact with the Chu family." She looked at Grandma Chu and said with a fake smile, "You shouldn't consider yourself as Big Sister Xiang's family, lest others laugh at you. Previously, when we separated from the family, you cut off all ties with Big Sister Xiang. In the future, Sister Xiang will be part of our Yin family after she marries. Naturally, she can't have any contact with people we don't like. If you are not convinced, you can go to the captain's house and invite Sister Xiang back. Don't come to my house to make trouble." Yin Xiuwen finished a long string of words. She did not give Grandma Chu a chance to interrupt at all. After that, she directly closed the door. It was obvious that she did not like the Chu family. The onlookers did not think that Yin Xiuwen was rude. Yin Su's leg was broken, but the Chu family still made so much trouble. It was already very polite that they did not fight. The Yin family were all cultured people. They were not so polite to Grandma Chu. One after another, they questioned what Grandma Chu was doing. Was she going to acknowledge the granddaughter that she had chased out or what? Did she really want to use Chu Xiang to repay her kindness and get the 300 yuan back? The problem was that the separation document had already stated that they would not have any contact with each other in the future. The 300 yuan was also a matter of the past. Wasn't it too shameless to bring up these debts now? Grandma Chu called out to the Yin family, but no one answered. No one responded when she knocked on the door, and so many people were pointing at her. Finally, she could not take it anymore and ran away. She was so angry that her heart hurt. She kept scolding Chu Xiang for being a jinx and causing her to be in such a sorry state. She even blamed Chu Xiang for the worsening of the Chu family's reputation. However, it was precisely because of this that she didn't dare to send Chu Xiang back home. She felt her heart bleeding when she thought about how she had given away 300 yuan and her granddaughter to the Yin family. Everyone in the Chu family felt that they had suffered a great loss. But things had already come to this, and it was useless to do anything. They could only feel terrible, as if they had swallowed a fly. Among them, Chu Lan felt the most terrible. In her previous life, The Chu family had tried so hard to persuade the Yin family, but Yin Su did not agree to marry her. In this life, he actually took the initiative to propose to Chu Xiang, who was disfigured. If Chu Xiang was really married off from the Chu family, she would feel better because she was the one who had facilitated it. But now that Chu Xiang was separated from the Chu family, it had nothing to do with the Chu family. It was completely Yin Su who had taken a fancy to Chu Xiang and proposed to her. Yin Su was the first man that she liked in her 2 lifetimes, and it was a man that she did not get. She felt terrible, as if her heart was being squeezed. Chapter 151. Regardless of what other people thought, the Yin family still arranged the wedding. Yang Yuelan and Yin Qiuwen had never done such a fake thing. They felt guilty and wanted to make the wedding more lively. Yin Su had made some money before, and they asked for 300 yuan from the Chu family, so the wedding was not stressful. Yang Yuelan was also worried about her future life, but Yin Su told her to just use it. She did not need to worry about making money in the future. He and Skinny Monkey had their own plans. Yang Yuelan's heart was also stifled with anger. Those who had come to the village to marry Yin Su had all hidden away when they saw that his leg was broken. Now that she was going to marry a daughter-in-law who was known as a jinx, she might as well do it in a grand manner and gain some face. They asked the brigade leader for help and exchanged things with others. Yin Su also asked Skinny Monkey to get pork from someone he knew in town. A few days later, when the wedding banquet was held, they prepared several dishes with meat. The bride and groom also had new clothes made for them, making them look like a golden couple. Chu Xiang had been using a little bit of Wacken to heal her body. She looked very healthy, and even the scars on her face had faded a lot. She was already good-looking. After putting on the new clothes and dressing up carefully, she was simply a flower in the village. Although the villagers were very afraid of the name Jinx, they were still willing to join in the fun at the wedding banquet. A group of young people cheered when they picked up the bride. Yin Su's leg was not recovered yet, but he borrowed an ox cart. He tied a big red flower on the ox and drove the ox cart to pick up the bride. This was the first time such a thing had happened in the village. Everyone was laughing and joking around, adding to the festive atmosphere of the wedding. Chu Xiang sat in the room and listened to the brigade leader's wife talk about the things she should pay attention to after she got married. The brigade leader's wife talked a lot. When she heard the noise outside, she held Chu Xiang's hand inside. "Xiang, these aunties can see that you are a girl with a good mind. You can't be wrong. Live a good life in the future. If you feel wronged, come to me. You're leaving my house today. If you encounter any problems in the future, I'll help you out." Hearing this, Chu Xiang showed a sincere smile and held her hand. "Thank you, Auntie. I will remember. Don't worry. I will live well." "All right, then let's go out." "Let's go." The captain's wife held Chu Xiang's hand and walked her out of the door. Their village used to have that kind of unique custom, but in the past few years, people didn't dare to do that because they were in danger. Later, everyone got used to only eating at the wedding banquet and not making a fuss. Yin Su had already gotten off the ox cart and was standing beside it. Seeing Chu Xiang give up her seat, he reached out his hand and said seriously, "I'm here to pick you up. I'll treat you well in the future. Let's go home?" "All right." Chu Xiang smiled and placed her hand in his broad palm, borrowing his strength to sit on the ox cart. Amidst the crowd's cheers, she waved to the captain's family. "Captain, auntie, big brother, sister-in-law, thank you for taking care of me. I'll come and see you again in 2 days." The captain nodded happily. "Go ahead. Have a good life." Yin Su bowed to the captain and his wife and got on the ox cart to go home. Skinny Monkey had taught a few people how to sing military songs. When he started singing, several people sang along. The atmosphere was very lively. They sang the military songs all the way to the Yin residence. All the young people around them clapped along with the rhythm. It was very lively. When the newlyweds entered the courtyard and offered tea to Yang Yuelan, and announced that the dishes were served, the laughter of the crowd reached its peak. Chu Xiang supported Yin Su and toasted everyone. Because Yin Su's leg was inconvenient, he toasted each table. Everyone was understanding and gave them a lot of blessings. Everyone was a little tired from all the drama that had happened recently. Now it was as if they could see the end of the story. Everyone still preferred this kind of happy ending. Even though they were a little reluctant in their hearts, they still sincerely wished them well. After Chu Xiang toasted them, she supported In-soo back to the new room. Skinny Monkey and his brothers helped to greet them. Skinny Monkey was very good at livening up the atmosphere. They could hear the laughter outside even in the room. In-soo did not sit on the bed. Instead, he sat on the stool by the wall after entering the room. He glanced at the red decorations in the room. This will be your and Win's room from now on. You can change it if you don't like it. Chu Xiang looked around and sat on the bed. This is very good. There is nothing else to do. You can rest at ease and recuperate. Maybe when you are in a good mood, your injury will be healed. In-soo leaned against the wall and looked at her, the corners of his mouth raised. There are female stars who are good at acting in movies. I think you are quite good at acting. You are better than those female stars. It has only been a few days, but the captain and his family already treat you as one of their own. Who would have thought that you were the one behind all the work that we've been doing? It is a pity that you are not an actress. Chu Xiang shrugged. Acting is very interesting. I especially like being an actress. But now those movies are very boring. Forget it. Maybe in a few days, your family will also treat me as one of their own. What's wrong? I am a lucky star. Lucky star? Did you call yourself a lucky star? In-soo subconsciously joked. After that, he felt that it was a little inappropriate. His tone was too intimate. However, when he saw Chu Xiang's expression, he smiled naturally and said, I am a lucky star. The jinx has never been me. You can see that the Chu family is unlucky. As for the In family, if they treat me better, their life will definitely be better. In-soo felt that at this time, she was a little naughty like an 18-year-old girl. He shook his head and smiled with her. The wedding banquet lasted until the evening. Yang Yuelan was smiling all the time. Even if she knew that it was fake, she could not help but feel happy. This was the first time she married a daughter-in-law. She was very excited and felt that her family was complete. Many women tried to sound her out, wanting to see what she thought of the Chu family. Yang Yuelan was not ambiguous at all. She straightforwardly and firmly expressed that she did not recognize this family as her in-laws. She would never have any contact with them. Everyone knew her attitude. Therefore, what was particularly embarrassing was that when In-soo and Chu Xiang got married, almost everyone in the village came to the wedding banquet. Only the Chu family hid at home to avoid hearing gossip when they went out. This was another day for the Chu family, and they felt even more humiliated. Song Yang, who was in the Educated Youth Center, also felt uncomfortable. He and Chu Xiang were clearly interested in each other. He did not expect that Chu Xiang would marry In-soo so soon after coming back from the hospital. He had not prepared himself mentally and dared to meet Chu Xiang, but she got married just like that. The most uncomfortable thing was that he had not made a statement yet. They had never confirmed their relationship. Chu Lan thought that Song Yang would feel uncomfortable, so she secretly went to find Song Yang when no one was outside. Song Yang had been avoiding her these days because everyone knew that they had something going on. She took this opportunity to comfort Song Yang and get in touch with Song Yang again. Song Yang was depressed. She was the only one who could do these things. The two chatted in the woods until it was dark and dispelled the estrangement. It was late at night, and everyone went home to rest. Yang Yuelan and In Cheowen tidied up the yard. They also went back to their rooms to sleep. The mother and daughter were a little embarrassed when they saw Chu Xiang. They did not know how to call her. Yang Yuelan hesitated for a long time before she called Chu Xiang that. Chu Xiang took Yang Yuelan's arm and said with a smile, "Mom, you can call me Xiang Xiang. I envy one for having such a good mother like you. In the future, you can treat me as your daughter. We will live a good life." Yang Yuelan did not know why she liked her. The moment she finished, she breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. Okay. Then I have another considerate daughter. Xiang, if you and Wen are not used to living in this house, our family will be good to you. You haven't recovered yet, right? Remember to rest more and take care of yourself. Mom, I'm all better. You are tired. Go and rest. Insu helped me a lot. I'm not here to take advantage of him. In the future, leave the family matters to me and one. Don't worry about it. Don't make us worry. Chu Xiang's words were very considerate. Yang Yuelan's heart was indeed warm. She smiled. Okay, you are all good children. Let's all rest. There is nothing to do tomorrow. No one needs to wake up early. Let's sleep. They all went back to their rooms to sleep. The Kong in the big room was bigger. Chu Xiang and Yin Xiuwen slept on one side of the Kong. There was still room for two people to lie down in the middle. The independent space was quite big. Yin Xiuwen could not sleep. She could not help but turn over and face Chu Xiang. She said, "Sister-in-law, can I call you that?" Chu Xiang laughed and said, "Of course. Don't always remember this. Just treat me as your sister-in-law." "Sister-in-law, why does my brother admire you? He actually made you agree to this kind of thing. I didn't know that he had such a character. He usually has a bad temper." Chu Xiang listened to her complaining a lot, and then smiled slowly. "This matter, it's not your brother's idea. I admire him." Yin Xiuwen's eyes widened. She was not sleepy at all. Thinking of those words just now, her face turned red. "That sister-in-law, I didn't mean it like that. I just... You think it's a little ridiculous, don't you? Actually, it's not as serious as you think. The two of us just encountered difficulties and thought of the most suitable and simplest way to solve it. It won't affect others or ourselves. Just treat it as a family and live a good life together. The world outside is so big. This is just a trivial matter. It's fine as long as you're comfortable." Chu Xiang laughed after she was done. Why did she feel like she was an expert at brainwashing? Wasn't this inappropriate for girls of this era? Yin Xiuwen was indeed confused. This was a subversive deviation from her understanding. But since it was already like this, she did not think about it. She asked another question that had been puzzling her for a long time. "Sister-in-law, are you really going to take the college entrance exam? You didn't do well last time because you had a fever? You've been delayed for so long. Are you confident?" Chu Xiang replied casually. "Yes, I'll take you with me. Starting tomorrow, we'll revise 3 times in the morning and 3 times in the afternoon. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Go to bed early and rest well." "Okay, sister-in-law, go to sleep." Yin Xiuwen closed her eyes obediently. Her mind kept thinking, were sister-in-law's grades that good? She could ask sister-in-law for advice on her homework? Yang Yuelan and Yin Xiuwen had their own doubts. But Chu Xiang married into the first place, which was completely different from what they had imagined. There was no awkwardness, no discomfort, and no alienation. They were so close that it was as if they were originally a family. This feeling was so comfortable that it made them unknowingly look forward to their future life. Chapter 152. The next day, Yin Xiuwen woke up early to make breakfast. Everyone in the village was diligent, and no one really slept in. Yin Xiuwen felt that Chu Xiang was not really married into the family, so she felt embarrassed to let Chu Xiang do the work, so she did more. However, not long after she woke up, Chu Xiang finished tidying up and went into the kitchen. Yin Xiuwen saw this and quickly said, "Sister-in-law, I'll do it. You lie down for a while more. Your body hasn't recovered yet." Chu Xiang moved her arm for her to see. "I'm fine. Besides, my cooking is actually very good. Let me do it. You're the only healthy one in our family. The 3 of us need to nourish our bodies. We should eat more if the food is good, right? In the future, leave the cooking to me. You go feed the chickens, sweep the yard, and do the laundry. We'll split the work." Okay." Yin Xiuwen pointed out where the things in the kitchen were, and gave up the position of the stove. She stood at the door and watched Chu Xiang curiously. There were still many vegetables in the kitchen after the wedding banquet. Chu Xiang quickly made a tomato and egg soup. Yin Xiuwen was dumbfounded. Wasn't soup made with noodles with some salt? How could there be tomatoes and eggs in it? In the end, Chu Xiang filled every bowl with some chopped green onions. Just looking at it made one's appetite increase. Yin Xiuwen couldn't help but take a few deep breaths. She said in surprise, "This is too fragrant. How can soup have a fragrance? It smells better than vegetables." Chu Xiang handed her a bowl and raised her chin. Try it. It tastes better than it looks. Yin Xiuwen took the bowl and couldn't wait to take a sip of the steaming soup. Her taste buds immediately enjoyed a wonderful taste. It was so delicious that she didn't care that it was hot and ate 2 more mouthfuls. She turned her head and shouted into the house. Mom, brother, come out and eat breakfast. My sister-in-law made it. It's so delicious. Chu Xiang smiled and shook her head. Eat slowly. Don't burn yourself. There's still a lot in the pot. Take it all out. I'll cook a few more eggs. Okay. Yin Xiuwen happily put down the bowl and ran out with a rag to wipe the table. She then happily ran back into the kitchen to get the rice. The neighbors on the left and right had heard her shouting just now. They curiously looked over the wall and saw the red, yellow, and green colors in Yin Xiuwen's bowl. They asked curiously, what delicious food did your sister-in-law make for you? You're so happy. Yin Xiuwen smiled and said, Lump soup. I didn't know that you could put eggs and vegetables in soup before. My sister-in-law is too awesome. It's very delicious. Dumpling soup? What's so good about that thing? Isn't it a disaster to put things in it? It's delicious. Different people would make different things for different people. My sister-in-law is good at cooking. My family has married a treasure. I'm not talking to you anymore. I'm in a hurry to eat. I'm going in first. Yin Xiuwen still remembered that Chu Xiang had a nickname, Jinx. When she praised her sister-in-law, she couldn't wait to tell everyone that her sister-in-law was very good. Of course, it was true that she was in a hurry to eat. After that, she ran into the house. Yang Yuelan and Yin Su quickly got up and tidied up. They waited for Chu Xiang at the entrance of the kitchen and chatted with the neighbors while they were at it. When Chu Xiang finished cooking the eggs, Yin Su took the initiative to serve them. He didn't let Chu Xiang do it. When the neighbors saw this, they laughed and teased him. Yin Su knows how to dote on his wife. Chu Xiang, is Yin Su good to you? Chu Xiang took Yang Yuelan's arm and walked out of the kitchen. She smiled and said, Of course. My mother and sister are also good to me. I've fallen into a nest of good fortune. On the other side, when the neighbors saw the 4 eggs in the bowl, they were speechless and said, So good to eat so early in the morning? The soup is made with white flour. I saw it. It's full of ingredients. TSK. There are tomatoes and eggs in it. You're still eating boiled eggs. Isn't it a waste? Yang Yuelan was afraid that Chu Xiang would feel awkward and wanted to help her out. However, Chu Xiang said calmly, If you eat well, you'll be in good health. Of course, you have to eat more at home. Yang Yuelan smiled and nodded. Xiang is right. You know our family's situation. We have to eat more to nourish our bodies. We'll eat more when we run out. Alright, we're going to eat now. You guys should go too. The whole family entered the house. The neighbors on both sides couldn't see anyone, so they left after chatting for a while in the yard. However, they often complained to others about Chu Xiang's prodigal behavior and questioned whether her cooking was good or not. Some people saw that Chu Xiang and the 3 members of the Yin family were getting along so well. They didn't believe that they would always be so close. They were waiting to see the jinx bring misfortune to others. They were waiting to see them make a fool of themselves. However, these whispers didn't reach the Yin family. The 4 of them just happened to sit at the same table. Other than Chu Xiang, everyone was engrossed in eating. Even Yang Yuelan ate a big bowl and praised it repeatedly. It was too delicious. The simpler something was, the more delicious it was. Because the ingredients were too simple and the taste wasn't heavy, the taste of the ingredients and the ratio of the seasonings were very, very important. Chu Xiang had studied cooking for decades when she was a writer. She was already a master at cooking. Of course, the food she cooked tasted good. Chu Xiang held the bowl and drank a few mouthfuls. She was also satisfied. During this period of time, she had been eating other people's cooking. The food of this era was simply too terrible compared to the food of the future era. She was reluctant to use ingredients like fatty meat, didn't care about the knife skills of the ingredients, too casually seasoned, didn't pay attention to the heat, and many other shortcomings made it difficult for her to eat. Most of the time, she ate the food in the space when no one was eating. However, it wasn't a good thing to always do that. It was better to cook hot food like this. This was also the reason why she rushed to cook. As for the other housework, she was really annoyed and didn't like to do it at all. She asked when to do it. As compensation, she would cook more delicious and nutritious food for them in the future. Insu distributed for eggs to everyone. Yang Yuelan was reluctant to eat it and pushed it away. Give this to Xiang Xiang. It's good for her health. Chu Xiang put a peeled egg into her bowl and smiled. Mom, you eat it. You don't look so good. You should be the one who needs to take care of your health. When I was in the hospital, I asked the doctors and nurses a lot of ways to take care of your health. In the future, listen to me when you eat. I guarantee that your health will be much better. She paused and asked, Can I? Am I meddling too much? Yang Yuelan and Yin Qiuwen hurriedly said, No. Yang Yuelan took a bite of the egg and smiled. How can we not know that you care about us? In the future, we'll listen to you when we eat. I'll wash the dishes later. Don't fight with me for this. I can't just sit around and do nothing. Chu Xiang nodded in agreement. She never intended to do all the chores in the Yin family. She was only responsible for cooking. Among the housework, she only liked to cook. From Yang Yuelan and Yin Qiuwen's point of view, they were so kind to her purely because they liked her. Of course, she wouldn't take advantage of them. In her eyes, Yang Yuelan and Insu's bodies were full of problems and were very easy to cure. Before she left, she would cure them and take Yin Qiuwen to college. After dinner, Yang Yuelan went to wash the dishes and clean the kitchen. Yin Qiuwen took the clothes to the river to wash. Many women who met her asked about their new sister-in-law. She happily told them that her new sister-in-law was very good. Everyone was confused and couldn't figure it out. Why was the Yin family so fond of the jinx and unlucky person that everyone despised in their hearts? From her mother-in-law to her sister-in-law, they liked her very much. Even Insu knew how to dote on her. Was Chu Xiang so lucky? But wasn't she unlucky? This was contradictory. Chu Xiang became a hot topic in the village again. Every word about her here spread to the Chu family. The Chu family was now on the opposite side of her. Of course, they didn't want her to have a good life. The worse her life was, the more it proved that the Chu family's decision to split up was right. In the end, the Yin family treated Chu Xiang so well and liked her so much, but they didn't recognize them as in-laws. This was too embarrassing. Grandma Chu even asked Chu Lan to catch rabbits in the mountains. No matter what, she wanted everyone to see that the jinx was in the Chu family. They never cared about the jinx. Of course, Chu Lan also wanted to steal the limelight. Although she liked Yin Su in her previous life, the more happy Chu Xiang was after she married Yin Su, the more unbalanced she felt in her heart. Why could Chu Xiang be happy wherever she was? She must be more likable than Chu Xiang. Chu Lan specially asked Song Yang to go together. She wanted to show her good fortune and luck in front of Song Yang. She used questions as an excuse. On the way, she listened to Song Yang talk about 2 questions. She didn't pay attention. Before Song Yang finished, she changed the topic and talked about the interesting things in the village. Song Yang kept laughing. The 2 of them were digging for wild vegetables. In fact, it was more like a walk in the spring. They laughed and laughed. Unknowingly, half a day passed. When Song Yang was about to go back, Chu Lan suddenly realized that so much time had passed. The most important thing was that she didn't see any good things like wild rabbits, pheasants, and wild eggs for so long. She didn't even find any particularly good wild vegetables. She panicked. After parting with Song Yang, she didn't believe it, and went into the forest again. She was afraid that there was no wild game in the periphery, so she deliberately went deeper into the forest. However, the deeper she went, the more anxious she became. Nothing at all. Her good luck seemed to have been used up. She couldn't find any good things. Chu Lan had forgotten everything in her heart. She was panicking and only wanted to find something to prove that she was good. She kept walking and walking, and in the end, she got lost in the forest. It was getting darker and darker, and it just so happened that there was no moon tonight. She couldn't even find any light, which scared her to death. Like a headless fly, she scurried around the forest, desperately looking for a way down the mountain. Chu Lan's mother was also worried. She asked several people but didn't see Chulan. She was so angry that she couldn't help but complain a few times. In her words, she blamed Grandma Chu for looking for trouble and causing Chulan to go missing. She was now elated. With a lucky star as her daughter, she wasn't afraid of Grandma Chu anymore. Grandma Chu was angry, but she still didn't say anything. She told them to hurry and find the captain. It was terrible that a person in the village was missing. The captain immediately called a team to go into the mountain to search. Song Yang and Chulan went down the mountain together. Now that he heard that she didn't go home, he was quite puzzled. However, when he thought about how everyone thought that he and Chulan were dating before, he didn't say anything in order to not cause too much trouble. Anyway, the captain had already brought people to look for her. They would definitely find her. Chulan was in the forest. Her clothes were torn by the branches. She fell several times and lost a shoe. Her body and face were dirty. Her hair was messy, and her face was full of fear and helplessness. The captain and the others searched for 2 hours before they found her. What they saw was her beggar-like appearance. At that time, many people had a question in their hearts. Wasn't Chulan a lucky star? Was a lucky star like her? Where was the lucky star? Chapter 153. Chulan was so overjoyed when she was rescued, but she was so flustered when she returned home. She was too scared. She was afraid that she would become like in her previous life, unlucky and unlucky again. She was afraid of that painful and desperate feeling. In her previous life, she had asked a fortune teller to help her change her fate. She had climbed the mountain and kowtowed 999 times to ask for Bodhisattva's blessing. She had been reborn and had good luck. Why did she suddenly start to be unlucky again? Chulan knelt in the house and prayed all night. Early the next morning, she couldn't wait to go into the mountain. This time, she didn't dare to go in. She wandered around the periphery of the mountain forest. However, no matter how she wandered, she couldn't find anything good. She didn't take anything home except a basket of wild vegetables. During this period of time, Grandma Chu felt that Chulan and her daughter were suppressing her. Chu Xiang also slapped her in the face. Her heart was very stifled. When she saw that Chulan didn't get anything good, she sarcastically stabbed Chulan a few times. Chulan's mother couldn't help but quarrel with her. One relied on her daughter as a lucky star to straighten her back, while the other relied on her status as a mother-in-law. The whole Chu family was noisy and couldn't calm down. On the other hand, the Yin family was the opposite of them. If Chu Xiang wanted to win a good impression, she would definitely succeed. If she wanted to act as an 18-year-old girl in this era, then she would be an 18-year-old girl in this era. There was no sense of disharmony. When she entered the house, she won a great impression from her mother-in-law and sister-in-law. They really treated her as a family. In the eyes of the neighbors, this newly married woman was also very sensible. She was filial to her mother-in-law, loved her sister-in-law, and was intimate with her husband. She didn't look like a jinx at all. Even the food she cooked could make the two families smell the fragrance of temptation. She was a proper wife. This was interesting. Chu Xiang was a jinx, and Chulan was the reincarnation of a lucky star. Now that Chu Xiang was so popular with her in-laws and looked happy, what about Chulan? Chulan almost died in the mountain. She was in a sorry state. Insu was keenly aware that other people's views of Chu Xiang had changed. In the evening, when Chu Xiang was enjoying the cool air in the courtyard, Insu walked out with his crutches and sat beside her. He whispered, "You're amazing. If you infiltrate the enemy's ranks, not many people can defeat you." Chu Xiang rested her chin on her hand and thought for a while before asking, "Is being a soldier fun? Are there any female soldiers in your army?" Insu leaned against the wall with his hands behind his head and turned to look at her. "What are you doing? You want to be a soldier?" He glanced at her and then looked at the big tree in the courtyard. He laughed and said, "With your arms and legs, you'll break them over there. Do you think being a soldier is easy? Waking up early and sleeping late is already too much for you." The Insu that Chu Xiang had seen before was reserved and taciturn. Now that they were familiar with each other, she actually saw his unrestrained side. which was quite refreshing. She leaned over and looked into his eyes. She smiled and said, "Oh, you're proud of being a soldier? Are you looking down on me? I wonder who can only use crutches now." Insu pushed her shoulder and pushed her away from him. He chuckled and said, "I wonder who can roll down a hill while walking." "It's okay. My arms and legs are intact. What's the big deal about being disfigured? I'm not bad either. I have a brain. What's the big deal about being crippled?" Both of them realized that this conversation was very childish and laughed at the same time. In Xiuwen leaned against the window and whispered to Yang Yuelan. They seem to be a real couple. "Mom, are you?" Yang Yuelan's face was full of smiles. She nodded and said, "Of course. That's great. It would be even better if they could be together. She'll go back. Don't make a sound. Don't disturb them." "Okay." In Xiuwen responded softly. She tiptoed back to the room with Yang Yuelan. Chu Xiang's body was constantly circulating that little bit of spiritual energy. It was as if her entire body was emitting traces of spiritual energy. It would be very comfortable to stay by her side. Insu felt that way. He was so comfortable beside Chu Xiang that he didn't want to move. It seemed that even his legs didn't hurt anymore. When Chu Xiang got up and went back to the room, he actually felt a little reluctant. He shook his head and wiped his face. When he looked up and saw the bright full moon, he cursed under his breath. It must be because the atmosphere was too good. Otherwise, how would he feel? In Xiuwen also liked to stay by Chu Xiang's side. The two of them slept on opposite sides of the Kong bed at night. In Xiuwen would roll to Chu Xiang's side when she fell asleep. Chu Xiang opened her eyes and looked at her. She saw that In Xiuwen was just hugging her arm and didn't move, so she let her be. She didn't reject having such a cute and sensible sister. The two of them were really like sisters. They slept closely together. Of course, Chu Xiang wouldn't go back to the Chu family's house. Yang Yuelan was afraid that she would be questioned by the neighbors at home, so she asked her to go to town with In Xiuwen. Sometimes, the villagers didn't mean any harm. They were just easy to inquire about, but in fact they were very annoying. Chu Xiang happened to have something to do, so she borrowed a bicycle to take In Xiuwen to town. The road was a little bumpy. In Xiuwen hugged her waist tightly and asked curiously, "Sister-in-law, you know how to ride a bicycle? You're so good at it." Chu Xiang was used to the poor language of praise in this era. She smiled and said, "I borrowed someone's bicycle to learn. It's very simple. I'll teach you when I have the chance. Later, I'll go to the school and ask the teacher to copy the review materials. Then, I'll go to the supply and demand cooperative." "Ah, I didn't bring any money. Sister-in-law, what do you want to buy?" In Xiuwen deliberately checked her pockets. She didn't bring any money. She was a little worried. Chu Xiang tapped her finger on the handlebar and smiled. "Me? I'll go and thank you." In Xiuwen didn't understand what Chu Xiang meant at first. When she saw Chu Xiang's aunt in the supply and demand cooperative, she realized that when Chu Xiang was hospitalized, Chu Shuang lent 300 yuan to help. She should thank her. Chu Shuang was sitting at the bar, leisurely reading the newspaper and eating melon seeds. She was chatting with another salesperson opposite her. She didn't look up when she heard someone enter the door. Chu Xiang walked over and smiled. "Aunt, are you busy?" Chu Shuang looked up half a beat later. When she saw Chu Xiang, she realized that she was calling her. She said in surprise, "Chu Xiang? Why are you here? Are you okay?" She got up and looked at Chu Xiang across the counter. She fixed her eyes on Chu Xiang's face and frowned. "Why did you leave a scar? Can't a girl leave a scar? Did your parents take a good look at you? It can't be removed?" Chu Xiang didn't care. "It's okay. I'm much better now. The most important thing is that my body is better. Aunt, I'm here today to thank you. When I was hospitalized, you lent me money to pay for my medical expenses." Chu Shuang waved her hand. "Hey, I thought it was something. I lent it, not given it. What's there to thank me for? I didn't expect you to recover so quickly. It's not as good as your father's. But your face still needs to be treated. Otherwise, you won't be able to get married." Chu Xiang looked surprised. "Aunt, you still don't know? I'm already married. I got married before university." "What? Chu Shuang's eyes widened. No, why didn't anyone tell me that you're married? Hey, why are you married? Who are you married to? You didn't marry just because you were disfigured, right? You know better than me. What's going on? Chu Xiang pulled Yin Xiuwen over and said, This is the Yin family's Yin Su. This is my aunt Wen Ziwen. Aunt, you know her too. In the future, when she comes to buy things from you, help take care of her. Chu Xiang stopped smiling and looked at the confused Chu Shuang. As for not marrying you I'm not a member of the Chu family anymore. It's not appropriate for me to call you aunt. So I didn't inform you about my marriage. What? What do you mean you're not a member of the Chu family? Even if you're married, it won't affect you from calling me aunt. Yin Qiuwen snorted and said, That's not the case. The old lady of the Chu family said that my sister-in-law is a jinx. She chased her out of the house and told her not to go back in the future. Oh right, their separation was written by the captain. In the future, they won't have anything to do with each other. My sister-in-law doesn't need to support them in their old age. Yin Qiuwen felt that this kind of thing wasn't good for Chu Xiang. She simply helped, and even emphasized that there was no need to support them in their old age. The first thing Chu Shuang thought of was the 300 yuan she lent. She borrowed the money to treat Chu Xiang's illness. Now that Chu Xiang wasn't a member of the Chu family, would the Chu family not return the money? If she asked Chu Xiang for the money, the Yin family wouldn't acknowledge it either. She looked at Chu Xiang and was really anxious. She asked for leave from her colleagues, and wanted to go to the village with Chu Xiang. I have something to ask your grandmother. Let's go together. You can talk to me about it. Why didn't anyone tell me about such a big matter? You're treating me like an outsider. Chu Xiang had a bicycle. Chu Xiang brought Yin Qiuwen along, and they rode together. On the way, Chu Xiang not only told her what happened during this period of time, but also mentioned that the Chu family had compensated the Yin family with 300 yuan, and the captain with 100 yuan. It seemed that they were out of money. Chu Shuang roughly knew how much money Grandma Chu had. After calculating, the Chu family might only have 100 yuan left. Her face turned green. She still wanted some interest after lending this money. In the end, she didn't want to get the interest back and not get the capital back. She didn't care about being a lucky star or a jinx. Anyway, she was married to the county city. It had nothing to do with her. She only cared about her money. When they entered the village, Chu Xiang separated from her. Chu Shuang didn't care, and quickly rushed to the Chu family to ask for money. Yin Qiuwen saw her aggressive look and gloated. At the same time, she was a little worried. Sister-in-law, will something happen to the Chu family? No, their family. Chu Xiang curled the corners of her mouth. Something happened? She wanted something to happen. Otherwise, why would she come here? Chu Shuang was not easy to deal with. This time, she had to cut off a piece of the Chu family's flesh. The Chu family was having dinner. Chu Shuang parked the car and pushed the door open. She first glanced at the food on the table and said, Why didn't anyone follow me when Chu Xiang got married? You didn't even tell me that you chased her out. Why? Do you treat me as an outsider? The Chu family was stunned. Grandma Chu thought of the money and said guiltily, What? You just came back and you're already having a meal. Sit down and eat first. If there's anything, we can talk after eating. I'm not eating. I'm still in a hurry to go back. I'm here to get the money. These families need money urgently. Mom, give me the 300 yuan that my brother lent me. I'll go back now. Chu Shuang pulled a stool and sat down. She went straight to the point and asked for money. Everyone knew her personality. If she wanted to make a scene, she could fall out with them. Everyone froze. Grandma Chu avoided her gaze and said, Well, money. I don't have that much right now. Let's do it later. How much do you have if you don't have that much? Mom, give me a number. Chu Shuang stared at Grandma Chu and asked. Grandma Chu had no choice but to tell the truth. At most, 100 yuan. This was just as Chu Shuang had expected. She looked at their expressions one by one and said in a deep voice, If you don't have money, use things to pay. Pay now. Chapter 154. The Chu family members were all aggrieved. Chu Shuang's unyielding demand for the debt made the old lady explode. She stood up and said, "What? I don't have money, so why do you still want to rob me? You haven't returned to your family for months. You don't even know if your father and I died. You unfilial daughter. It's fine if you don't show us filial piety, but now you want to force us to death." Chu Shuang sneered. "No money? If you don't have money, you can still bear to eat scrambled eggs? There's still the smell of meat in this soup. You added minced meat, right? This is called no money? You eat better than my family. Why are you crying about being poor?" The old lady choked and stuttered. This is an exception today." She was purely angry that Chu Xiang was still living well outside. If Chu Xiang didn't come back, the entire village would see the Chu family as a joke. She just wanted to eat some good food and smell some meat to save some face. Who knew that Chu Shuang would bump into her? Chu Shuang stood up and pulled the old lady into the house. "Don't talk nonsense. Hurry up and take out the money. It's only right to repay debts. Let me tell you, if you don't satisfy me today, I'll make a fuss and let the entire village know. I'll let everyone see how you cheat your relatives and forgive you. You won't be able to live in the village anymore." The few of them hurriedly stopped her and started pulling. It was unknown who pinched who or who pushed who. But the cries and shouts grew louder and louder. The neighbors on both sides held their bowls and leaned against the wall to look. Old Master Chu hurriedly got his two sons to separate them. The women's clothes were wrinkled, and their hair was messy. They looked especially ugly. Old Master Chu slammed the table angrily. "Chu Shuang, are you still a member of the Chu family? Are you here to cause trouble today? Do you think we lack your money? What's wrong with waiting a few more days?" Chu Shuang said angrily. "I just want money. Look at how you treat me. Do you treat me as a family? Don't blame me for being heartless. Do you think I don't know? If you compensate the Yin family and return the money to the captain, what's left? How many more days will it take for me to gather the money? Who are you lying to?" Chu Weigua scolded. "How can you talk to Dad like that?" Chu Shuang glanced at him and snorted. "I have a temper when it comes to matters, not people. Let me tell you, Chu Weigua, if you are a man, then return the money. You are the one who borrowed it from me anyway. If you can't pay me back, then shut up and go to the side. Stop talking nonsense." "You." Chu Weigua raised his hand and slapped her. Chu Shuang pushed him away and shouted, "You owe me money and don't pay it back? You even hit me? Get everyone to come and judge for me. Come. Let's be nice to everyone. I've been married for so many years, and the money I've earned doesn't belong to your Chu family. What right do you have to not pay me back and even hit me?" While Chu Shuang was speaking, she had already walked into the courtyard. The neighbors all heard her clearly, and the people nearby also came out to watch the commotion out of curiosity. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 people had gathered. The Chu family was anxious and angry. Chu Lan and Chu Lan's mother hurriedly pulled her into the house. Chu Lan lowered his head and persuaded, "Aunt, let's go into the house. Don't wash your dirty linen in public. Everything can be discussed." Chu Shuang saw her and thought of something. "Oh right, I heard that you're a big lucky star? Why didn't I see it after so many years? You can even catch rabbits and pheasants? Why haven't you ever sent one to my house? So you guys eat meat while I live in the county. You guys still don't pay me back. Aren't you black-hearted?" Chu Shuang didn't only know how to be unreasonable. Then it was her turn. She slapped her thigh in front of everyone and cried, "My life is tough. I lived a hard life at home. After I got married, the family didn't give me a piece of meat. They borrowed 300 yuan from me and didn't pay me back. Who would believe that your family doesn't have money? I need it urgently. How can you treat me like this? My surname is also Chu." People always sympathized with the weak and the one who cried miserably. No matter how they heard it, it was the Chu family who didn't return Chu Shuang's money. The way they looked at the Chu family changed. Why was this family becoming more and more muddle-headed? They didn't notice it in the past. They were really wrong. Old Madame Chu strode out angrily and pointed at Chu Shuang. "You still have the face to cry? Let everyone see how badly I've been beaten by you. You even hit your own mother. Are you human? Who didn't pay you back? My money has been compensated to the Yin family. How can I have money? What's wrong with making you wait for a few days? I didn't hit you. Your 2 daughters-in-law and 1 granddaughter are all greeting me. Who knows which one of them touched you? Look at my sorry state. Mom, can you be reasonable? You borrowed money and got into trouble. You've cheated yourself. I won't lend you money in the future even if I'm beaten to death. Who will interact with you like this? Chu Shuang raised her hand and messed up her hair. She was indeed in a sorry state, and her words were especially convincing. Seeing that everyone agreed with Chu Shuang's words, old Madame Chu gritted her teeth and cried as well. She sat on the ground and cried while beating her chest, counting how unfilial Chu Shuang had been all these years. However, Chu Shuang could gain the upper hand just by borrowing 300 yuan. If she was really so unfilial, why did she lend them so much money? She must have asked for it because she urgently needed money. If she was really selfish, she wouldn't have lent it. Chu Xiang and Yin Xiuwen held Yang Yuelan's arm and walked out of the crowd. Through the crowd, they saw the mother and daughter of the Chu family crying. The Chu family's expressions were uglier than the other, and the people around them who were watching the show were pointing at them. Some were mocking them, while others were criticizing them. The captain also rushed over to see what had happened. Chu Weigua had written an IOU when he borrowed money, so Chu Shuang was reasonable. Moreover, Chu Shuang's eyes were red from crying. She insisted that the family urgently needed money, which was indeed more sympathetic. Chu Shuang even said in public that if the money was not enough, they could use things to make up for it. It would be fine as long as she could go home and report to her mother-in-law. This was already a huge concession. The Chu family's refusal seemed especially shameless, as if they wanted to renege on the debt. In fact, it was precisely because the Chu family didn't have money that they were unwilling to give them things. If they gave them things and didn't have the money to buy them again, how would their family survive? But no matter what, the matter had to be resolved. In the end, the captain still made the decision to let Chu Shuang take the things away. Such a ruckus was too bad for their team's reputation. Recently, the Chu family had been the ones causing trouble, and the captain was already very dissatisfied with the Chu family. After Chu Shuang received the order, she immediately began to rummage through the valuable things. She knew where the old lady hid the good things, so she directly took the old lady's precious silver bracelet. This time, the old lady really cried. She pulled Chu Shuang and didn't let her take anything. Chu Shuang said, "If you don't take yours, let my sister-in-law and second sister-in-law take things to make up for it. Your family doesn't have anything valuable to begin with." The old lady asked Chu Lan's mother and Li Yuezhen to take the jewelry. Chu Lan's mother didn't have any jewelry at all, and Li Yuezhen only had a pair of silver earrings. How could she bear to part with them? She immediately found all kinds of excuses to refuse. When the old lady saw this, she immediately fell out with her and went up to her. Chu Shuang couldn't get the silver earrings, so of course, she had to take the silver bracelet. The way the 3 women were entangled together to snatch things was extremely ugly. The captain's face darkened when he saw this, and he kept fooling around. In the end, the old lady didn't have enough stamina and still couldn't snatch it from Chu Shuang. As soon as Chu Shuang regained her freedom, she took 100 yuan and went to catch the only 2 chickens in the Chu family. Then she strode out of the door. The old lady chased after her anxiously and angrily. "No, give it back to me, give it back to me." How could Chu Shuang listen to her? She tied the 2 chickens together and rode away on the bike. Old Lady Chu couldn't catch up at all. She sat on the ground outside and cried loudly. This time, she was really sad. The family only had 110 yuan. After 100 yuan was taken away, the family only had 10 yuan left. What could they do? Without the chickens, they couldn't even eat eggs. There wasn't a single poultry in the house. How could they live like this? There was also her silver bracelet. That was the most precious thing in her life. Now that it was gone, she had nothing. In less than a month, her 500 yuan savings, her precious bracelet, and her poultry were all gone. This was killing her. Normally, when a person cried so miserably, it would be heartbreaking for those who heard it, and shed tears for those who heard it. However, old Lady Chu had fallen into this state step by step because of her own actions. Everyone had seen it clearly. No one sympathized with her at all. They only felt that she deserved it. When the old lady raised her head and saw Chu Xiang, she immediately felt that she had found the culprit. She got up on her hands and feet and rushed at her. Chu Xiang, you jinx, it's you who did this to me. You have to compensate me, you have to compensate me. Yang Yuelan shielded Chu Xiang behind her. As she retreated, she shouted, "What are you doing? Chu Xiang has nothing to do with you. Don't get involved. If you continue to spout nonsense, I'll report you for being superstitious." When the old lady heard the word report, she was shocked and sobered up a lot. However, after she stopped crying, she still wanted to make a scene. She pointed at Chu Xiang and said to the captain, "Captain, you have to make a decision for this old woman. Back then, you were the one who sent Chu Xiang to the hospital. The 300 yuan we borrowed was all for her treatment. She should be the one paying for it. She married into the Yin family. Why should I pay for it all?" Chu Xiang looked at the half-burned house in the yard of the Chu family and said, "I was almost burned to death in the Chu family. Have you found the person who set the fire? Actually, we are all laymen and don't know how to find the culprit. If we go to the county police station to report the case, they will definitely find the culprit, right?" The villagers didn't know how the police investigated the case. They also didn't know that there was no evidence after so long. They were afraid when they heard that the police station was involved. The Chu family was even more afraid because they would all become suspects. Several people who were wrongly sentenced to death 2 years ago had died unjustly. Only Chu Lan knew that it wouldn't be so easy to investigate. She raised her voice and said, "Chu Xiang, don't be so careless. Who set the fire? I thought you set the fire yourself. If you want to report it to the police, then report it. Let the police arrest you for being wrongly accused." Chu Xiang nodded. "Captain, can you lend me your bicycle? I'll go now. When I was in the hospital, there was a medical record. In my condition, there was no rain at all. How could I light the fire? Someone must have deliberately harmed me. Since this matter is investigated, it must be investigated thoroughly. If it wasn't for someone who set the fire, the Chu family wouldn't have needed to borrow money to pay for the medical expenses. I don't think this money is for me. This is clearly for the arsonist. Otherwise, if I died, she would be a murderer." The word murderer came out. Old Lady Chu was obviously panicking. Even the villagers around them consciously kept quiet and stopped talking. This kind of word really made people unconsciously nervous. If someone's family had a murderer, their whole family would be despised. Even the whole village would be affected. Old Lady Chu subconsciously waved her hand. "If we don't report the case, what case is there to report? We won't go back to school." "Then stop. Don't implicate my daughter-in-law. She is now a member of the Yin family. You can't bully her." Yang Yuelan snorted coldly. She grabbed Chu Xiang and Yin Qiuwen's wrists and left, leaving Old Lady Chu standing there. Her vision turned black and she fainted. Chapter 155. After the old lady fainted, there was chaos again. She even had a fight with Li Yuezhen after she woke up and snatched Li Yuezhen's silver earring. Li Yuezhen was so angry that she cried all night, and became a joke to the whole village. The 2 elders of the Chu family used to care about their face the most. During this time, they completely tore off their face and stepped on it. They had no face to speak of. Chu Lan tossed and turned restlessly and couldn't sleep all night. The reputation of the Chu family was getting worse and worse. And so did the others' impression of her, including Song Yang. However, her good luck had inexplicably disappeared, and the premonition of bad luck shrouded her, causing her to be fearful all the time. She had to do something to ensure her future life. She absolutely could not be as poor as she was in her previous life. Chu Lan didn't want to stay in the village and see the strange looks of others. She took the 100 yuan that her mother saved for 20 years, and went to the county to look for business opportunities. Others were still waiting to see if business could work, but she knew that no one would treat business as speculation anymore. Self-employed people were about to become the most sought-after people, so she had to think of a way to become self-employed and earn a sum of money. Old Lady Chu was sick with anger, and didn't have the mood to care about her. Others were worried about their own things, so naturally, they didn't care about her. She began a life of selling things in the county. Every time she came back, she would bring some good things to Songyang to cultivate their relationship. She no longer had the mood to pay attention to Chu Xiang and Yin Su. As for Chu Xiang, she had severely cheated the Chu family several times, and had greatly damaged the vitality of the Chu family. Chu Lan's good luck was also gone. She was no longer interested in them, and began to look for meat and seasoning in the mountains. The village was too poor. She didn't know that she liked to eat delicious food so much before. She couldn't buy meat without meat coupons, so she simply made her own food and clothing. At first, Yin Xiuwen wanted to follow her, but Chu Xiang gave her questions, and she was stumped. Chu Xiang asked her to study at home on the grounds that she didn't have enough revision. Yin Xiuwen had been beaten by Chu Xiang during these revision sessions. She liked this sister-in-law very much and almost listened to her. Since her sister-in-law ordered, she obediently studied at home. Chu Xiang carried the bamboo basket and went straight into the mountains. Her target was the prey. In fact, she had everything in her space, but there were too many people in the village. If something happened, it would immediately spread throughout the whole village. She needed a reason to take it out. The mountain path was not easy to traverse, and hunting for prey was very boring. Chu Xiang decided to go back and increase the dosage of medicine for Yin Su. She wanted to cure Yin Su as soon as possible so that she could order him to find meat. She had a lot of drugs in her space. They were all made in the laboratory of the apocalypse, just in case. She didn't expect to use them. For the past few days when she was cooking, she had put different kinds of medicine into Yin Su and Yang Yuelan's bowls to treat their bodies. She had already seen some results, and it wouldn't take long for them to recover. With a space, it was much more convenient to go anywhere. After walking for more than 10 minutes, Chu Xiang saw a rabbit in the distance. She circulated the pitiful spiritual energy in her body and let the spiritual energy float on the surface of her skin. The rabbit soon felt the existence of Reiki. When Chu Xiang walked over slowly, it didn't run away. Chu Xiang stared at the rabbit. When she got close, she quickly took action. The rabbit reacted and wanted to run away, but it was too late. Chu Xiang grabbed its ear and lifted it up. Chu Xiang smiled. In an instant, more than a dozen ways to deal with the rabbit flashed in her mind. Sister-in-law, you are awesome. Chu Xiang stopped smiling and looked up. She saw the skinny monkey standing at the corner of the hillside with Yin Su, who was holding a crutch. Obviously, he had seen the whole scene. Chu Xiang slightly frowned. In this life she didn't cultivate, so her spiritual energy was too weak. Just now, she was too focused on catching the rabbit and didn't notice them. Yin Su walked to Chu Xiang with his crutch. He looked at the rabbit, and then looked at Chu Xiang. He was puzzled. Why didn't the rabbit run away? Is it stupid? He poked the rabbit and shook his head. It's quite normal. The skinny monkey also came over and smiled. Yes, sister-in-law. How did you catch it? My goodness, when you went to catch the rabbit, it just looked at you and didn't move. Sister-in-law, do you have an affinity with animals? Chu Xiang said perfunctorily. Yes, I have an affinity with animals. I don't know why. She looked at them. What are you doing here? You even have a shovel and a hoe. Don't tell me you are here to reclaim the wasteland. The skinny monkey's expression stiffened. He quickly glanced at Yin Su. Yin Su said calmly, Of course we have our own business. You can go home after catching the rabbit. I will go back later. Chu Xiang looked at his leg suspiciously. You have to come in person if your leg is not good enough. What are you doing? Don't blame me for being nosy. Although we are fake husband and wife, our marriage certificate and household register are real. If you get into trouble, you will implicate me. You are so sneaky. Do you think I can't ask? The skinny monkey looked at him nervously and didn't dare to say anything. He didn't know why, but Chu Xiang was not very conspicuous in the village before. Why was she so imposing now? Standing in front of Yin Su, she didn't lose to Yin Su at all. He had a feeling that he couldn't afford to offend either of them. Yin Su and Chu Xiang looked at each other for a while. In his mind, he had already gone through all his understanding of Chu Xiang. Then he said, "Come with me. If you have any concerns, we can divorce." Chu Xiang didn't hide her overflowing Reiki. It was easy for others to have a good impression and trust of her. She didn't know if Yin Su was influenced by her Reiki, or he was really willing to believe her. Anyway, the result was satisfactory. She ignored the skinny monkey's more nervous reaction. She handed the rabbit to the skinny monkey and followed Yin Su to see what they were going to do. The skinny monkey officially became their little brother. He carried the tools and the rabbit behind them. From time to time, he also observed them in case they quarreled. Chu Xiang followed Yin Su to a very hidden place. It was so hidden that Chu Xiang wouldn't find it if no one led the way. Yin Su squatted on the ground and observed carefully. After a while he patted a place and said, "Here it is. Skinny monkey, dig the center." Okay. The skinny monkey gave the rabbit to Yin Su. He found the right place and dug quickly. Chu Xiang leaned on the side and asked, "What's under the ground? You two can't rob a tomb, right?" The skinny monkey shivered. "Sister-in-law, don't scare me. I'm afraid of ghosts. I don't dare to rob a tomb." "Then what is this? Treasure?" When Chu Xiang was a cultivator, she had been to countless secret lands and searched for countless treasures. However, in this era, she felt that it was impossible. She was really a little curious. Yin Su leaned next to her and said, "Something like that. During the war, our village was occupied by the East Asians. Later, when we were defeated, they hid the gold, silver, treasures, and antiques that they couldn't take with them. No one has ever found them. My leg, based on my experience in the army, it will be very difficult for me to recover. It will be inconvenient for me to do anything in the future. I'll try to find it." The skinny monkey was full of admiration. "Sister-in-law, Brother Su is amazing. So many people couldn't find it, but he found it. He was better than the others in the army, and was especially valued by the regiment commander. If it were me, Brother Su, you would have come to find it as soon as you left the army. You wouldn't have to work so hard. If it weren't for the fact that my leg was broken this time, I was afraid that Aunt Yin and Yin Xiuan would suffer." Brother Su didn't mention this. "I always thought that the treasure was a rumor. It's not really a treasure. Last time, I only found a few things that weren't worth much. I hope that this time I can find more. I don't have any other clues. I can't find anywhere else." Yin Su treated this as an unexpected windfall and didn't take it too seriously. He still wanted to wait for his bone to recover before he went to the county to do business. He looked at Chu Xiang and asked, "Are you afraid?" Chu Xiang said calmly, "Why should I be afraid? It's good. Be careful. When the time comes, I'll sell it with the skinny monkey. No one will find out if I hide it." Yin Su looked at her for half a minute before saying, "Okay." The skinny monkey raised his head and looked at Yin Su in surprise. He was really surprised. Yin Su told Chu Xiang such a secret, and now he agreed to let Chu Xiang participate. Wasn't he trusting Chu Xiang too much? Were they really a fake couple? However, the skinny monkey had been following Yin Su for a long time and hadn't seen Yin Su make any wrong decisions. He thought about it and didn't care anymore. He lowered his head and dug hard. Looking at Chu Xiang's eyes and expression, he knew that she wasn't someone easy to deal with. He couldn't do anything about it. Let the two of them discuss it by themselves. After all, they were in the same household register. Chu Xiang didn't want to wait idly. When she saw a river nearby, she went to catch fish. Yin Su thought for a while, and followed her with the rabbit. He really couldn't figure out how Chu Xiang caught the rabbit. Then he saw Chu Xiang put the bamboo basket into the water and scooped up 2 fishes. Were the fish in the mountains so stupid? As stupid as the rabbit? Did they bump into the river by themselves? Chu Xiang looked back and saw Yin Su's expression. She felt that if thoughts could be visualized, Yin Su's head would be full of question marks now. She thought of that expression and burst out laughing. Yin Su snorted. "What are you laughing at? Who wouldn't be shocked when they see you like this? What kind of ability is this? You catch 1 fish every time. You don't have to worry about food anywhere." Chu Xiang walked back with the basket and smiled. "Me? I'm the reincarnation of a lucky star. You've got a big advantage. Marrying me will bring good luck to the whole family." Insu thought of his mother and sister's smiling faces and didn't refute. He looked at the fish and said, "Tie it up with a straw rope, lucky star." "I don't know how to do it." "You do it." Chu Xiang placed the basket in Insu's hands, as if it was a matter of course. She sat on a rock at the side and stretched. "There's food for today and tomorrow. Eat more good food. Maybe you and Mom will recover completely." Insu slowly sat on the ground. He held the rabbit with his arm and began to make the straw rope. He asked in confusion, "How can you and Mom get along so well? She treats you like her own daughter, and you call her Mom quite smoothly." "Mom is a good person. If it was someone else, I would be dreaming." Chu Xiang picked up a grasshopper made of straw. She didn't reject being called Mom. After all, no one was her real mother no matter where she transmigrated. However, Kairan didn't treat her well. Yang Yuelan had a good personality and treated her well. They were even fated to become a family. She didn't have any problem treating Yang Yuelan as her own mother, just like the relatives she got along well with in other worlds. Insu always felt that Chu Xiang was very different from other people. However, this difference was a good thing. He didn't want to explore it. He was thinking about how to officially take the money he dug up home. He discussed with Chu Xiang, "You cook so well. Why don't you just make some simple dishes and sell them? Just make the money from selling food." Chu Xiang smiled slightly. "I'll command you. You do it." Chapter 156. Insu really knew how to cook. His mother was in poor health and his sister lived in the county to study. He was the one who usually cooked for the Yin family. When he heard Chu Xiang's words, he immediately agreed. "Okay, I'll cook. You can just watch from the side. The exams are coming soon, so you should study hard. Don't let these things delay you." Chu Xiang asked curiously, "Why did you retire from the army? It's glorious to be a soldier." From what Skinny Monkey said, "You were a very good soldier in the army. You should have a high chance of being promoted, right? It's a pity that you came back." Insu looked down and hung the two fish on the straw rope. He said lightly, "My mother's health has been deteriorating over the past 2 years. I'm worried. The missions I did in the army were very dangerous. There were a few times when I almost couldn't come back. If I'm gone, what will happen to them? It's good now. Our family is together. There's nothing to regret." Chu Xiang was a little surprised by the reason for his retirement. "I didn't know that under your tough appearance, there was a delicate heart. Insu, if Mom's health and your legs recover, do you want to go back to the army?" Insu was in a daze for a second. He shook his head and said, "How can there be such a good thing?" Chu Xiang knew the answer from his nostalgia in that second. He liked the army, liked to go on missions, and liked to protect the country. Chu Xiang didn't say anything more. She would see the future when she reached that point. Skinny Monkey ran out of the valley and shouted excitedly in a low voice, "I dug it up! I dug up Brother Su. Sister-in-law, come and see. We're rich this time." Chu Xiang stood up. Insu also stood up slowly with the help of his crutches. Skinny Monkey was anxious. Skinny Monkey ran over and carried Insu on his back. He said anxiously, "Hurry up, you two. Why are you so careless?" Chu Xiang smiled as she followed behind the Skinny Monkey. Together, they went to see the treasure that he had dug out. There were quite a lot of things. There were antiques, calligraphy and paintings and jewelry. In this era, they could be sold for almost 100,000 yuan. Insu looked at Chu Xiang. You're hiding something that no one can find. Why don't you show us what you've got?" "Okay." Chu Xiang turned around and walked out. Skinny Monkey looked outside worriedly. "Brother Su, can sister-in-law go out alone? This is deep in the mountains." Insu fiddled with the antiques. "Does your sister-in-law look like an unreliable person? She wouldn't do something she wasn't sure of. Don't pry into the secrets." "Oh, are you afraid that sister-in-law doesn't want us to see it?" "That's right. Sister-in-law is quite mysterious sometimes. Why didn't I notice it before? Have we ever cared about women before?" Insu had seen all the antiques and knew what was going on. He sat on the ground and stretched out his legs to relax. He motioned Skinny Monkey to sit down too. Wait and see. Your sister-in-law is not an ordinary person. Chu Xiang got a bunch of vines outside and weaved a big airtight bag. Then she leaked her Reiki and successfully caught 2 rabbits, 2 pheasants, and a nest of pheasant eggs. When Chu Xiang came back to Yin Su with these things, Yin Su couldn't calm down even though he was prepared. Skinny Monkey jumped up and said in shock, "Sister-in-law, you. I'm a lucky star. What's so strange about that?" Chu Xiang was in a good mood and joked. She asked Skinny Monkey to put all the things into the bag. If you want to make a lot of money, you have to make a big fuss from the beginning. Otherwise, how will others know? Okay. Skinny Monkey was stunned and didn't know how to react. He obediently worked. Yin Su silently tied up 3 rabbits and 2 pheasants. For the first time, he doubted his life. His wife might really be the reincarnation of a lucky star. She could get everything she wanted. The antiques were put at the bottom of the bag, and the rabbits and pheasants were put on the top. Nothing could be seen. Skinny Monkey carried the bag, Chu Xiang supported Yin Su, and Yin Su was carrying 2 fish and a basket of eggs. It was a fruitful trip. As soon as the 3 of them came out of the mountain, they met someone. The person was surprised. "Where did you go? What are these things?" Chu Xiang smiled. "There was a shortage of labor at home, so we wanted to sell some things. We were lucky and caught a few wild animals. I was thinking of making them into food and selling them in town." "Aunt Chin, don't stretch out your hand. Don't hurt yourself. Rabbits bite when they are anxious. You can see them in the cage later." Okay. Be careful. Don't let them run away. There are so many of them. It's like the new year. I have to follow them." There were many people like this ant. By the time they reached home, there were already 7 or 8 people following them. Chu Xiang happily chatted with them. She had something to say to everyone, and it was all about their own matters. She didn't mention anything about her family. Yin Su and Skinny Monkey were soldiers after all, so they were very sensitive in this aspect. They both felt that Chu Xiang was too good at tricking people. If they kept their mouths shut, it would be a waste of their talents in the village. Skinny Monkey was especially impressed. His eyes were full of worship. He used to only admire Yin Su, and now there was Chu Xiang. Moreover, this sister-in-law could even handle Brother Su. She was really amazing. Skinny Monkey was carrying nearly 100,000 yuan, and his palms were sweating. He was afraid of being found out, so he lowered his head and didn't dare to let others see his expression. He didn't expect Chu Xiang to be so relaxed all the way. She carried the things home in front of everyone. Chu Xiang asked Skinny Monkey to go into the warehouse with her. She turned around and stuffed the rabbits and chickens into 2 cages. Then she put the bags behind the jar. When she touched the bags, she put the things inside into the space just in case. No one could find out. When everyone saw the wild animals Chu Xiang took out, they were all surprised. They thought there were only 1 or 2, but they didn't expect there to be so many. Everyone asked her how she managed to catch the fish. Chu Xiang smiled and said, "I guess I got lucky. I've been taking care of Yin Su all this time. I didn't use any tricks. At most, I used a slingshot." Yin Su was very accurate with this shot. Unfortunately, the slingshot fell into the river when I was catching the fish. Yin Su was a soldier. He had shot a gun before, so it was not strange for him to be accurate with a slingshot. Everyone believed her. Those who wanted to learn how to catch fish felt regretful. They could learn other things, but they couldn't be accurate. Moreover, it really needed luck to see so many wild animals. They couldn't be jealous. The Yin family was as lively as the new year. Yang Yuelan and Yin Qiuwen were also very excited. Some people even asked Chu Xiang what she was going to sell in town. Chu Xiang chatted with them for a long time. However, when the crowd dispersed, she realized that they didn't get anything out of her. Skinny Monkey watched the whole process. He admired Chu Xiang so much. Even his sister-in-law was more sincere and sonorous. The news quickly spread throughout the village. Grandma Chu threw her chopsticks on the table and stared at Chu Lan. "Eat, eat, eat. You only know how to eat. What did you earn by going to town? Chu Xiang can still get so much meat for her husband's family. What about you? What can you do?" Chu Lan's mother was unhappy. Our Chulan used to get a lot of things for our family. That's in the past. How much has it been? We can't even see a piece of meat. Our family only has 10 yuan in total. What do we eat and drink? Grandma Chu stared at the mother and daughter unhappily. Don't think that I don't know that you are hiding money and causing trouble. Our family hasn't split from the family. All the money has to be handed over. Chulan, you. Chulan interrupted her impatiently. Aren't I working so hard for the sake of my family? After I earn money, Dashim will be the one enjoying the good life, right? Grandma, why are you so calculative? Chulan got up and went into the house. I'm not eating. I have to get up early tomorrow to go to town. Damn girl, what a liar. Chulan locked the door and completely ignored Grandma Chu's scolding. She was very scared now. The fact that Chu Xiang got a few animals was like a nightmare. Chu Xiang's good luck seemed to have disappeared. She only had 40 yuan left of the 100 yuan she took. She was so anxious that she felt that the knife hanging over her head was about to fall. Chulan knelt on the ground and prayed to Bodhisattva. But what was the use? The more she prayed, the more desperate she became. She couldn't even sleep. The next day when Chulan went to town, she happened to meet Chu Xiang and the skinny monkey, who were also going to town. They were really going to town to sell things. Chulan smelled the meat in their basket. She felt disdain in her heart. She put on a fake smile and said, "Everyone in our place is poorer than the other. This thing is not cheap, right? Who are you going to sell it to?" Chu Xiang smiled faintly and said, "You don't have to worry about that. You'd better worry about your own business. Look at your face. Be careful not to lose everything." These words stabbed Chulan's heart. Her face changed dramatically. She said angrily, "Chu Xiang, what are you so proud of? You married a cripple and disfigured your face. You still have the nerve to come out and make a fool of yourself. What right do you have to be me? Who are you calling a cripple?" Yin Qiuwen immediately pushed Chulan. She was very angry. Of course, Chulan wanted to fight back. However, she was quickly pushed away by Chu Xiang. "What are you doing? Are you bullying my sister because of her age? Chulan, stay away from us. Otherwise, I don't know if you can come back safely today." "What do you mean?" Chulan stared at Chu Xiang. Her face was blue with anger. "You can figure out what I mean. You haven't settled the score with me yet. Do you think I'm the kind of person who repays evil with good?" Chu Xiang looked into her eyes. How could an ordinary person withstand Chu Xiang's cold gaze? Chulan didn't talk back. A layer of sweat appeared on her back. At that moment, she felt that Chu Xiang was going to kill her. For the rest of the journey, Chulan didn't dare to say anything else. She listened to the three of them laughing in frustration and anger. She was so angry that she almost suffered internal injuries. When they arrived in town, Chu Xiang and the others didn't set up a stall. They sold their food as they walked. There were steamed buns, chicken offal, and diced chicken. They sold all of them by counting. At first, no one bought them. However, as soon as the lid of the basket was lifted, the tantalizing smell of meat wafted out and attracted a lot of people. Some people didn't want to buy because they thought it was too expensive. Naturally, there were also people who were willing to give it a try, especially old Rao who doted on her children and was filial. More and more people bought it. Skinny Monkey and Yin Qiuwen were busy collecting money and selling things. They couldn't stop smiling. Chulan followed them from a distance. When she saw this scene, she bit her lip so hard that it bled. It was just some food. Didn't these people know how to make it themselves? They were actually willing to pay for it. Nowadays, selling clothes was more profitable than eating. Was Chu Xiang's luck really returning to her? Chulan didn't think that selling well was because it was delicious. Her mind was full of good luck. She felt so uncomfortable that she almost couldn't breathe. Chu Xiang took advantage of the crowd to separate from them. She went to find a buyer alone to sell the things they dug up. Without Skinny Monkey and Yin Qiuwen following her, she found a secluded place and used the things in her space to change her appearance. Her previous appearance was completely unrecognizable. She didn't want to show off her wealth. Even if she wanted to make money, she had to do it secretly. She wanted to make a fortune quietly and make her first bucket of gold. Chapter 157. Chu Xiang sold the 5 things to 3 people. 2 of them were told to her by Yin Su, and the other one was found by her. She sold them for a total of more than 20,000 yuan. When she went back, Skinny Monkey and Yin Xiuwen had almost sold all the food. Chu Xiang held the malted milk powder in her hand and said, "It's so hard to buy. I negotiated with a woman for a long time before I got this bottle." Yin Xiuwen was surprised and said, "Sister-in-law, you went for so long just to buy malted milk powder? Why did you buy this? We don't have any children." Yin Xiuwen couldn't help but glance at her belly. Chu Xiang flicked her head and said, "What are you thinking? It's for Mom." "Oh, for Mom to drink? Sister-in-law, you are so nice." Yin Xiuwen was still surprised, but she was also very touched. They had just made some money, but Chu Xiang didn't buy anything for herself. Instead, she bought something for her mother to nourish her body. She really treated them as a family. Skinny Monkey and Chu Xiang looked at each other and understood Chu Xiang's hint. The food was sold successfully. He was so excited that his hands trembled. He quickly calmed himself down and shouted even louder. Soon all the food in the basket was sold out. They didn't set a high price. After all, it was just a cover, so the food was sold quite quickly. When they went back to the village, everyone was busy working. When they saw them, they naturally asked them a few questions. They were shocked and curious to know that the food was sold well. They surrounded them and asked for a long time. They also saw the malted milk powder that Chu Xiang bought for Yang Yuelan. They all praised this daughter-in-law for being filial, and Yang Yuelan was lucky. When they went back, the villagers were still talking about it. Many people had the idea of going to the town to sell things. When Chu Lan went back to the village, the enthusiasm was still there. They asked Chu Lan about this and that. Even if Chu Lan tried to hide it, they vaguely guessed that Chu Lan didn't make any money. It didn't look like a happy occasion. Chu Lan and Chu Xiang were compared again. Wasn't one of them a lucky star, and the other a jinx? Why did it look the other way around? Could the Chu clan have made a mistake? Old Madame Chu was the most sensitive about this matter. Every piece of good news from Chu Xiang was like a slap to her face. She especially hoped that someone could slap Chu Xiang's face. However, her own family failed to live up to her expectations. Even Chu Lan, who had been so lucky before, failed to perform. She was really angry. Old Madame Chu ordered that if Chu Lan did not get the money back for another 10 days, she was to stay at home and not go anywhere. Chu Lan was still in the Chu family. He couldn't get rid of the old lady's control, so he could only endure it. The key point was that although she had been reborn, she was still that useless person. This feeling of having memories of the future, but not being able to grasp the opportunity, made Chu Lan as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. For the next 10 days, Chu Xiang and Yin Su would go to the kitchen early in the morning to cook. The neighbors nearby could smell the delicious aroma, and then Skinny Monkey would take the food to the town to sell. Chu Xiang went to sell a few antiques for the first time. After that, she didn't go again. It was not easy to have 2 or 3 rich people in the town. It would be difficult to sell the antiques again. It was also easy to get into trouble. She wanted to keep a low profile and save it for later. Now she, Yin Su, and Skinny Monkey each had 7,000 yuan, which was enough for them to spend. Of course, she didn't want to sell the antiques. She said that she was studying at home. The food here was cooked by Yin Su. It was not very delicious. Skinny Monkey would eat some of the food he sold and give some to his brothers in town. Soon, he would return to the village to let the villagers think that their business was good, and they could make a lot of money. 2 villagers also went to sell the antiques, but the result was not good. When they came back, they were discouraged and poured cold water on everyone. Every time Chu Xiang cooked at home, she pretended to let the neighbors taste it unintentionally. Those who tasted the food were full of praise for her cooking. Everyone seemed to understand why her family's antiques were so popular. Chu Xiang's cooking was delicious. Chu Xiang's cooking was so good. She made delicious food for her family to nourish their bodies. She also gave malted milk to her mother-in-law. She even used her good cooking skills to earn money. She could even go into the mountains to get chicken, rabbit, and fish. Such a good girl made all the aunties regret it. Why didn't they marry Chu Xiang into their family back then? Now no one was afraid that Chu Xiang was a jinx. Now the most envied person in the village was Yang Yuelan. Look at her glowing face. Her previous illness was gone. She was really living a good life. Compared to Chu Xiang, Chu Lan attracted more attention. Those who were not married wanted to know how lucky she was. They wanted to snatch her home. In the end, they knew that she was not good from her expression. Some neighbors even heard old Mrs. Chu scolding Chu Lan. Chu Lan did not get a single cent back. She even lost 100 yuan. With 100 yuan, he could even marry an ordinary wife. The people who heard it were speechless. No one believed that Chu Lan was a jinx anymore. Chu Xiang was getting better and better in the Yin family. Chu Lan lost everything. This made Chu Lan's face turn pale. She was abnormally scared. Coupled with old Mrs. Chu's oppression, Chu Lan's taut string almost broke. She could not earn money and had no luck. The only way left was to grab hold of Song Yang. In the future, she could still be an official's wife. She finally used a dirty trick to make Song Yang kiss her. He had to marry her. During this period of time, Song Yang had been with her. Although the college entrance examination was coming, and he did not want to get married at this time, he had already kissed her. If Chu Lan teased him again, he would not be able to bear it. The Chu family was very dissatisfied with the marriage without a betrothal gift. However, Chu Lan kept brainwashing them. Song Yang's family was very powerful in the provincial capital, and how much he could help the Chu family in the future. In the end, she really got married as she wished. She even let Song Yang live in the Chu family. He did not have to do anything. Chu Xiang had seen countless people like Chu Lan. They did not have the ability and did not want to work hard. They only knew how to rely on others. In the end, they were often the ones who were abandoned. She did not need to do anything to Chu Lan. Chu Lan could court death by herself. Song Yang could be admitted to a good university in the previous life because he and the original owner encouraged each other to study hard. Now Chu Lan seduced Song Yang to cultivate feelings. She was harming him. Chu Xiang and Chu Lan would be compared to each other now. This seemed to be destined from the moment Chu Lan said that she was a jinx and a jinx. However, Chu Lan said this in order to step on Chu Xiang to raise himself. He did not expect that he would be trapped in his own cocoon and step on himself into the mud. Now that the students and educated youths were studying hard, the villagers would subconsciously not disturb them. However, everyone paid the most attention to the Yin family and the Chu family. Two of them were going to take the college entrance examination. Who would be able to pass? The Chu family had a difficult life. They did not eat chaff and swallow vegetables. They were all sullen and unwilling to support Song Yang. They were waiting for him to report back to the family. On the other hand, the Yin family was full of laughter and the smell of meat. Their business was booming. People could see that they were rich. Old Lady Chu's health was obviously not as good as before. The Chu family did not look good. Yang Yuelan's health was getting better. Yin Su's leg also recovered very quickly. He was becoming more and more flexible. Who was the jinx? Everyone had their own conclusion in their hearts. There were more and more people talking about it in private. The college entrance examination finally arrived as scheduled. Chu Xiang entered the examination room very calmly. Yin Chuan followed Chu Xiang to study. Her grades were like a rocket. She was also full of confidence. Chu Lan did not have any hope for herself. She placed all her hopes on Song Yang, who was going to be an official in the future. However, Song Yang, who was very confident before, felt guilty when he entered the examination room. His grades seemed to have regressed. Many people were waiting outside the examination room. Yin Su was also waiting with Yang Yuelan with crutches. Some people who knew them came over to chat. As they chatted, they talked about Chu Xiang. Your Chu Xiang is really good. She is really capable. If it were me, you would also be careless. You actually let her take the college entrance examination. If she passes, won't she fly away? At that time, we can't even catch her. Yang Yuelan smiled and said, My Xiang Xiang is not that kind of person. I am not worried about this. Oh my, is this accurate? Don't blame me for my harsh words. I am also doing this for your own good. In-su's leg is already like this. Can Chu Xiang still come back after she becomes a college student? Yang Yuelan was unhappy. Before she could refute, In-su said, Auntie, I have made you worry. We plan to go there together. After they pass the exam, they will move away. As soon as these words came out, the surroundings fell silent. The auntie who advised them earlier came over first. She widened her eyes and did not know what to say. After a long time, she said, They are really rich. Moving to a big place directly represented status and wealth. This was something that they did not even dare to think about. In-su came out so easily. It seemed that he had earned a lot of money. He even had the confidence to move to a big city. Moreover, In-su had too much confidence in Chu Xiang and In Qiuwen's abilities. Did this mean that her family would definitely pass the exam and could casually choose to move to the same big city? They would be excited if there was one college student in the whole town. Did In-su think that his family could have two? Some people felt that In-su was too arrogant. Some people felt that the In family seemed to have surpassed them by a lot. Anyway, the In family was really different. They had become the most popular family in the village and had the best development. After the exam, everyone specially observed Chu Xiang and In Qiuwen. Sure enough, both of them were happy. In Qiuwen even said that the questions were very simple. They were all explained to her by her sister-in-law. Compared to the other examinees who looked weak, everyone did not know whether the In family liked to boast or were really that strong. This matter was discussed until the admission notice was sent out. The enthusiasm of the whole village was ignited. 2 college students from their village were admitted. They were also the only 2 college students in the whole town. Both of them were from their village. These 2 people were Chu Xiang and In Qiuwen. Moreover, they were both admitted to famous universities in the capital. Even the people in the remote village had heard of the good universities. In-su bought a pig with the brigade leader and slaughtered it. He treated the whole village to pig dishes to celebrate. It was even more lively than his wedding. The Chu family was dumbfounded. Wasn't Song Yang definitely going to be admitted to the university? Not only was Chu Lan confident, but even Chu Xiang had praised Song Yang many times before. How could he not be admitted? The In family's extravagant celebration made the Chu family extremely embarrassed. Chu Xiang was a jinx that they wanted to avoid like the plague. In the end, she flew away the moment she left their house. It was as if they had cursed Chu Xiang in the past. They had raised Song Yang for so long for nothing. They did not ask for a single betrothal gift and simply married Chu Lan to him. Now that his name was not on the list, it seemed that they were blind. The most upset people were Song Yang and Chu Lan. Song Yang was annoyed and upset. Chu Lan was even more dissatisfied and shocked. This was different from her previous life. She was most afraid that her bad luck would come again. Was Song Yang affected as well? Could she still be Mrs. Shangguan? Chapter 158. In this era, college students were like golden phoenixes to the villagers. They were really soaring. No matter how they looked at Chu Xiang before, they were now proud of her. They thought that she had brought glory to the village. When they talked about her, their faces were full of pride. When they faced Chu Xiang, they were all smiles and even a little respectful. The more everyone looked at Chu Xiang now, the more they liked her. They didn't even think that the scar on her face was ugly anymore. Chu Xiang's scar had indeed faded a lot. It didn't look too obvious. At least, it wasn't to the extent that it could scare people like before. The In family's pig slaughtering banquet went on for a few hours. It was more lively than the New Year. Many people drank too much. Some were so excited that they cried. They felt proud and could straighten their backs when they went out in the future. The Chu family could hear the laughter from afar. This festive sound was unusually ear-piercing to their ears. The entire Chu family was unbelievably quiet and depressed. Old Madame Chu was the first to lose her cool. She slammed the table and pointed at Chu Lan's door. "Wretched girl, what are you doing? Didn't you say that Song Yang would definitely pass? Pass my ass. You want our whole family to serve him like a young master. In the end, you'll embarrass us? Get out here. Do you think you'll be fine hiding in the house? Dream on." Old Madame Chu scolded more and more harshly. If it was in the past, dirty linen shouldn't be aired in public. She cared about her face and would definitely cover it up and not dare to make a fuss. She was afraid that bad things would be known by others. Now she didn't care about that. During this period, the Chu family had been humiliated countless times. They had long lost their face. She directly smashed the pot and didn't care anymore. Chu Lan was still holding it in at first. Later she exploded in anger. As soon as she lifted the curtain, she rushed out and shouted at old Madame Chu. "What are you doing? How many mouthfuls of rice did I eat? Do you have to scold me like this?" She ignored her mother and Song Yang's tugging and said loudly, "Song Yang's studies are so good. The teachers in town have asked him for his study materials and politely praised him for being smart. How could he not pass? If it were me, it would be you who annoyed him and caused him to not pass. It's all your fault." Chu Lan couldn't accept the fact that Song Yang failed the exam. As soon as she said this, even she herself believed it. She pointed at the old lady and said, "It's you who harmed Song Yang and me." "Pa!" Chu Lan's father suddenly waved his hand and slapped Chu Lan heavily in the face. She staggered and almost fell down. Her face instantly turned red. Chu Lan covered his face in disbelief and stared up at him. "You hit me? Why did you hit me?" Chu Lan's suppressed fear, disappointment, and resentment all burst out. He cried and shouted, "You've never cared about me. What right do you have to hit me? You only know how to be filial and value boys over girls. You only like your precious nephew. Do you deserve to be my father?" Song Yang frowned and pulled her back. "That's enough, Chu Lan. Everyone calm down and calm down. Let's talk about it after we've calmed down." Li Yuezhen sneered. "That's easy. Chu Lan scolded all of us just now. Why? You're blaming us for not being able to get into university. If you think we're noisy, then move out. Why are you staying at home? Don't you want us to serve you? If you have the ability, then go out and live alone. Didn't Chu Xiang become better because she lived alone?" Chu Lan couldn't back down. He straightened his neck and said, "Fine, I'll live alone. We'll move to Jiqingdian tomorrow. Song Yang, let's go and pack up. Today they're fussing with us. In the future, no one can take advantage of us." "Hey, who's taking advantage of you?" The old lady picked up the feather duster and chased after them. In the end, Chu Lan locked the door outside. No matter how hard she knocked, the door wouldn't open. The old lady had nowhere to vent her anger. When she saw Chu Lan's mother, she immediately pointed at her and scolded her for raising such an unfilial child. Chu Lan's mother didn't dare to say anything this time. Previously, she used Chu Lan as her lucky star to provoke the old lady, who knew that Chu Lan's lucky star was gone and Song Yang didn't get into university. Now she couldn't raise her head at home. Chu Lan heard the old lady's irritated and resentful voice. He turned his head and saw Song Yang. He forced a smile and comforted him softly. "Song Yang, it's okay. It's just this one failure. Didn't Chu Xiang also fail before? It's normal to fail once or twice. I believe you'll definitely be able to pass the exam next time. Don't be discouraged. I'll always be with you and support you." Song Yang looked at her and slowly held her hand. He was very touched. "Thank you. Actually, my family found an opportunity for me to go back to the provincial capital to be an accountant for a factory. I'll have a chance to go back. Don't worry." Song Yang was originally hesitating whether to tell Chu Lan about this matter. He felt embarrassed to go back to the city and bring a rural wife back. He thought that if both of them were admitted to university, they would have face when they went out. Then they would go together. Otherwise, he might have to consider giving up this marriage. Anyway, they were together in a muddle. He didn't like Chu Lan that much. But this time, they didn't pass the exam. The Chu family had such a big opinion of him, but she didn't care at all. She blocked everything for him and supported him as usual. He was so touched that he couldn't help but blurt out this matter. Song Yang thought that it was a happy thing to be able to go back to the city with a job. Chu Lan would definitely be surprised and speechless. Who knew that Chu Lan was surprised, but not happy at all? Chu Lan even grabbed his hand and said anxiously, "No. What accountant? Who found it for you? You have to continue taking the exam. You'll definitely be able to get into a good university and have great achievements in the future. How can you be an accountant? What's so good about being an accountant? In this era, being able to become an apprentice in a factory meant that one had a lot of face. Being an accountant was enough to be praised by others. Song Yang could not understand why Chu Lan looked down on accountants. She actually called a job that he looked forward to so much as a good-for-nothing. All of Song Yang's emotions and enthusiasm were extinguished by this ladle of cold water. Chu Lan still didn't know and was still trying to persuade him. Song Yang didn't want to listen anymore. He simply went to bed. Chu Lan had a lot of encouraging words, but he had nowhere to go. He was afraid that he would give up being an official and become an accountant. But Song Yang was sleepy and there was nothing he could do. He could only pack his things as quietly as possible and prepare to move out tomorrow. Old Madame Chu was still shouting outside, from Chu Lan's mother to Chu Lan's father. She turned her head and scolded Li Yuezhen and Chu Weigua. During this period of time, she had accumulated a lot of unhappiness and scolded them all out. Many villagers who returned home after the banquet heard the farce in the Chu family and laughed at them behind their backs. A golden phoenix. Originally Chu Xiang, this golden phoenix was the Chu family's. Now all the glory was the Yin family's. But who asked the Chu family to be blind? He caught Chu Lan as his lucky star and even treated Song Yang as a treasure. Now all his efforts were for naught. He didn't get anything. Wouldn't he explode in anger? Now no one believed that Chu Lan was the reincarnation of a lucky star. If she was a jinx, she really did look like one. The lucky star was obviously Chu Xiang. Almost everyone was thinking about going to the Yin family to get some luck. The Chu family members were very sullen. Finally, the old madam was tired of scolding and pointed to Chu Xiang and Li Yuezhen. Go find Chu Xiang tomorrow. I'm sick. Let her go home and have a look. Li Yuezhen was moved. She hesitated and said, Is this okay? We didn't contact each other before. What if she doesn't care about us? She dares. The old madam snorted. I'm her grandmother. If she doesn't come back, she is unfilial. She's a college student. I don't believe that she doesn't care about her reputation. Also, you two are her parents. How dare she not listen to you? I already knew her from the beginning. I'll recognize her when she's successful. What's there to be afraid of? These unreasonable words came out of the old madam's mouth. It was very reasonable. Although the Chu family felt that this was very embarrassing, they had to recognize Chu Xiang. She had to be the Chu family's glory. Second, Chu Weigua and his wife went to the Yin family when there were many people. Everyone was curious about what they were going to do. Many people went to the Yin family to watch. Yang Yuelan blocked the door with a straight face and said unhappily, What are you doing here? Li Yuezhen smiled and said, In-law. Hey, don't call me that. Who is your in-law? Our Yin family has nothing to do with your Chu family. Don't claim to be relatives. Get out of the way. Yang Yuelan didn't give them any face and said this in front of everyone. Chu Weigua frowned and said, Chu Xiang is my daughter. What do you mean by this? You're blocking us from seeing our daughter. Isn't that too overbearing? What kind of life is my daughter living in your family? Chu Xiang and Yin Su walked out side by side. Chu Xiang said, Of course I'm living a good life in the Yin family. It can't be better. Yin Su took a big step and stood in front of Chu Xiang. He said coldly, The Yin family and Chu Xiang have nothing to do with each other. Since Chu Xiang married into the Yin family, she's a member of the Yin family. Naturally, there's no need for her to see you. Moreover, you've signed the document. You have nothing to do with each other. If this gets out, no one will think that Chu Xiang is unfilial. They will only think that the Chu family is a joke. Chu Xiang married Yin Su so that he could play his role. Naturally, she stayed behind Yin Su leisurely and refused to speak. Chu Weigua and Li Yuezhen called her many times. Old Madam was sick, Old Master was unhappy, and they missed her as her parents. However, no matter what they did, a married daughter was like spilled water. The Yin family and the Chu family seemed to have a grudge against each other. Yin Su didn't allow Chu Xiang to contact her family, so she didn't have to contact them. No one could find fault with her. This was the rule in this village in this era. Chu Xiang took advantage of this loophole and landed herself in the Yin family. The Chu family couldn't pester her, and the villagers didn't even think that there was a problem. Yin Su's toughness made Chu Weigua and his wife helpless. In the end, they left with their heads bowed. They didn't gain any advantage, and even became the laughingstock of the village. They didn't expect Chu Xiang to be so heartless. They also didn't expect the Yin family to be so ruthless. Otherwise, they wouldn't have come here to humiliate themselves. After Chu Xiang and Yin Su returned to the house, Yin Su looked at Chu Xiang. Are you relieved? I've never been worried. Chu Xiang gave him a thumbs up and smiled. Do the same in the future. Extinguish all the hopes of your enemies. Yin Su made a salute to her jokingly. Yes, madam. I promise to complete the task. Chu Xiang patted him on the shoulder and said, Now let's complete the other task first. You haven't completed the task yet. Mom is leaving with us. Go and persuade her. I'll wait for your good news. That's not a problem. Just wait. Use your hiding skills to hide the treasure well. Yin Su placed his crutches against the wall and slowly walked to Yang Yuelan's room. He could walk without crutches, but he was still not very flexible. Everything had become so good. Why couldn't they leave together? You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.